Making Leela.
Yeah. Hello.
Ilva. Hi, Marcus. And Ursula.
Hi.
Charmaine. Hi.
Mitch.
And Leela.
Hello. Hello.
And Andrew. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome. So this is the last of the inquiry meetings for this year.
Yep.
With, if you don't know,
sorry. I just want to make sure. Is the audio okay? Okay.
And the microphone is good. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So it's the last inquiry meeting of the year. We said last month that we might have an inquiry meeting in 1st of September, but we're not.
It does not look like it's going to happen.
We would be way too discombobulated.
Yeah.
And so everybody's better off that we don't.
This one is just barely hanging on by a thread.
So it's the last one of the year. And next time we have an inquiry meeting, we are probably in Spain, living in Spain. Yeah. If all goes well and you ever see us again. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
So many things can happen between now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if by chance we are settled in and things are, we're just absolutely
super surplus.
Yeah, tons of surplus. Then we will just announce that there's another one coming up.
And doing something spontaneous, who knows? But in planning, which, we make plans and the gods laugh. And so in planning, this is the plan, and that can change many, many times. I want to say I'm so happy to see so many new people.
Yeah.
It's really, really lovely to see you guys. We have a Discord community, and if you would like to join the Discord community, the requirement is that you have a chat with Todd and I, just a bit about yourself. We're very, very protective of the community. It's we don't believe in a hierarchy. We don't believe that we are any smarter than you guys. Your experiences are just as valid and useful than our experiences. And that is what we're basing the Discord community on. It's not based on Todd and I being the beacon and the light in front of you and you flow in that direction. We really, really don't want that. We very much enjoy eye height and equality, and everything that you bring to the table is useful. It's useful for you and it's useful for someone else. You might also experience that what somebody says is not useful. That's completely fine. Then that wasn't for you. It's a bit like it is out in the world and on social media, but where everybody, shares equally. So that is the community that we have, and it's a bunch of wonderful people. And what are you looking for?
Sorry, I was looking for my phone in case somebody tries to message in that they can't get in or anything, and I just realized I don't know where it was. I'm slightly discombobulated today. I apologize for. Yeah, let me just.
It might also be the main reason why we don't have another meeting, because we might not find the computer.
Yeah,
1st of September. It's very much running in circles.
It's very, very possible. That's really odd. I just had it.
Marcus, no, it's fine, babe.
It's in my pocket.
And your glasses on your head.
Thank you.
So
there we go.
Also. Okay. And Marcus, if you would keep an eye on Discord, that would be wonderful if somebody writes in there. So anyways, if you would like to join Discord, you just need to raise your hand, and then we have a conversation, and you don't need to share anything deep and profound, just your name, basically. Share a bit about your process. If you have any questions of anything that you would like our take on, seeing it from a different angle, then raise your hand, and then we'll have a conversation. Before we go that far. Let me just I spotlight, right? Was that what Sander said?
Yeah, spotlight.
Okay. Before we start with the questions, we talked about that if we were gonna say something profound, like what would that be? Since we're not seeing you for the next 6 months, what would we like to kind of like leave you with? Something that would just be like useful in everyday life. And we were making lunch now earlier where we talked about it, and it's basically that no matter what we say, it will be dual. It will not be non-dual. No matter if we say, you know, because we talked about that we can look at fear, anger, guilt, and shame that we have in our lives, and we can look at you know, you can't always be happy. You can't always be loving towards other people, but you can always be kind. So we could talk about kindness, about that. But then we are talking about that even that has the duality, that if you focus on being kind, that is I just want to say you have many, many videos where I'm saying that you cannot always be happy, you can always be kind. And I still stand with that. But it's just that still has a little hint of duality. Because when we talk about non-duality and being in that open space where you're not judging yourself and you're not judging other people, there's like a foundational understanding of whatever you perceive a situation to be, it is created by your perception. You know, the ears are sitting on you. You hear with your ears, you see with your eyes, and all that is filtered through your nervous system and your previous experiences and all the causes and conditions that is creating, you know, that you. So no matter what you think you see or hear other people are saying, or whatever you think or hear that you are saying about the situation, that is just your opinion. And we can have long, long talks about right or wrong, about values and all of that, but it is still created out of opinions, which are dual. So when we talk non-duality, the only thing we can point to, it is to stay in that open space with unconditional acceptance to whatever is arising. And if something is arising in you and you think about somebody, or you get annoyed about somebody chewing, or you hear the news and you get scared, or anything like that is knocking you off that equanimity, or knocking you off a feeling of being kind and compassionate, then just hold unconditional acceptance to it. It's okay to feel fear. It's okay to be an asshole. You know, when you think about somebody and you think, yeah, you're being a twat when you do that, you know, and it's okay. It's okay. Don't knock yourself for that. Don't condone it either. Have that open, unconditional acceptance to what is arising. And then be curious. Be curious to how it feels in the body. How do you know that their chewing is annoying? How do you know that? Oh, but I feel my jaws are tensing up. Okay, so your jaws is an indication of a sound being annoying. Are you sure about that? Or did you just create something out of nothing in this situation? When you look at somebody saying something and you think about them, it's okay for you to think that. And it's okay for you to feel that. You don't have to change it, but be curious. Have unconditional acceptance to what is arising in this moment. So don't condone it either. The moment you condone, you make it dual. You make it right. And the moment you say, well, they are actually, you know, bad in traffic. They are the way they're cutting. They are, and we can talk about it, and I'm right. That is just an opinion. It's just an opinion. So you can see somebody fumbling about in traffic without being angry at them or without thinking they should do any different, because how do you know? You don't know what is happening in their lives. And I promise you, you have done the same. But you might not feel that you have ever done the same, because in the moment, you do not feel that as fumbling around in traffic. Other people saw it like that, but you didn't feel it like that. And the one in front of you do not feel it like that. That's how people can get angry and start arguments, because they feel they're right. Be curious to that. Have unconditional acceptance to whatever is arising in you. And then just be curious to why it is so, and ask yourself, keep asking yourself the question, are you sure? Whatever you land on, are you sure that is how it is? Because as you know from when we work with the seventh fetter, whatever you land on is just a new starting point. That is just basis for a new dual idea of the world. Oh, it's all kumbaya and we all love one another. That is a new starting point. Are you sure that is what I'm sitting and talking about? Having open heart and love for everyone. Are you sure that is what I'm saying? Or is that just what you're hearing? So keep question everything. Whatever is arising in you, just be curious. Have an unconditional acceptance and be aware of you creating a new starting point. And in that moment, when you find yourself with a new starting point, see if you can unpin. That's something I'm talking about in the seventh fetter, where if you look at Google Maps, you can take the little fella down in the corner, and you pop him into a street, and you can see all the way that way and to the sides and up and down and behind. You can see everywhere. That is how it is to be a human being. But if you unpin that little fella, then you get back out to where you have the overview. And that is what we would like for you to do every time you find yourself in a starting point, an idea that this is how it is. I know it. That is just a starting point. It's not truth. It's just a starting point, which is dual. So if you want to be in a non-dual space until we meet again, that's with unconditional acceptance to whatever is arising. So have fun with that.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's start with Marcus. See if we can.
Very good to see both of you.
Likewise. Thanks for being here.
I feel a little sheepish because I see some lovely familiar faces from other meetings who are going to have to listen to me saying things similarly to what I've said in other meetings, and I apologize to them. So I'm going through a very scary period of my life. I lost my job of almost a decade about a month and a half ago, and I'm watching my finances dwindle away and wondering, am I going to be homeless? Am I going to be able to take care of the people and animals I take care of? So there's a tremendous amount of fear that is coming up. But because I have some skills that I didn't have when I was younger during a scary period, I can see that this is also an opportunity to notice some things and to sit with some things. And what seems to be really true is I can tell a story that all of this fear is about losing my job, but it's way older than that. It's like fear from infancy, and it's just been triggered or brought to the surface. And I think when I first started talking to you guys, I was, coming off of that like 2 years of those kriyas, like just intense things. And those have stopped. And this was before I lost the job. Those stopped. And it was the beginning of that seemed to be in a meeting with Angelo where I didn't know what all that shaking was. And then all of a sudden it just hit me on a gut level of, oh, this is fear.
Yeah.
This is fear. And once I saw that, the Kriya stopped and they turned into other things. And what I'm finding now is that every morning when I sit down to meditate, I scream and wail for a solid hour. Just, I mean, there are little pauses in between, but just like top of my lungs, wailing. And there's a detachment from it. There's like, I sometimes think, oh, he's in terrible pain. What can I do for him? Without a real him that I'm envisioning, but
Yeah.
whatever I'm identifying with.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through everything with it. I mean, I get bored sometimes. I like feel like checking my phone while there are like these coming out of me, and like irritation, like either get it all out or stop or whatever. Um, but what I'm hit with most of all lately is just this, oh my God, this trauma, it is so deep.
Mm.
It is like bottomless. That's like the feeling. It's like, oh, wow. And like I've been living on top of this like powder keg for 60 years.
Yeah.
And now it's expressing itself and it's expressing itself. And it's been so far like a month and a half of an hour of wailing every morning. Um, and if I even just kind of temporarily, like, I know, sink in kind of a meditative state, it'll it'll start to come up. And it comes up in therapy. I'm luckily enough, I'm working with a really good somatic therapist, which is
Oh,
wonderful.
wonderful.
But I guess this is so taken over practice for me. And even like after 10 years of daily meditation, I often feel like I'm where I was when I started. I know that's not true, but in terms of like the place where a lot of people get to, where they get either more concentrated or they get to equanimity, like that never happens with me. And I bounce between being in my body and feeling all of those, because even though I'm detached in one sense, I'm feeling everything physically. Bounce between that and then just going into thought. And sometimes it's really weird. Like I'll just realize I've been lost in thought for 10 minutes. And while that's been going on, the wailing has been
Yeah.
happening. But it feels like when people talk about the dark night of the soul after a shift, it's like, well, I haven't had a shift. But it feels like I'm in some kind of dark night of the soul now, or maybe even have been my whole life. I was like so much trauma, trauma, trauma.
Yeah.
Doing TRE and a lot of shadow work. But I guess the closest I have to a question, I mean, I just like to hear comments in general, but the closest I have to a question is for some people, does awakening get blocked by this trauma? In other words, do I have to do a lot of trauma work? Is like is that why I haven't woken up? Is it because there's so much trauma that just needs to be dealt with first? Because as long as it's not dealt with, it feels like I'm always going to be doing things to like escape from it, to go into thought, to do, all these things that are hindrances. Um, I'm much better at not doing that, but my days are about going back and forth between sitting with whatever comes up and realizing, oh wow, I just did something to escape from it for the last 3 hours or whatever. Anyway, that's as coherent as I
Yeah.
can be about the question.
I have a lot of things.
You wrote a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of things. The first thing I want to say is that I'm sorry that you're losing your job. I'm sorry, that is what is happening, and you're completely right. that we only know. The first thing I want to do is just acknowledge that being in that existential fear of losing a job or being terminally ill or anything like that, anybody who's experiencing that, I completely understand it. And there's that level where we need to create space for that and not spiritual bypassing by going, but that is going to be great in the end. That's just spiritual bypassing. What I just talked about with being unconditional, accepting what is happening, being fearful of losing your job or getting a terminal illness, it's okay. That is normal. That is normal. Let's not be so fucking spiritual that we forget, what is human and normal, like in being a human being. But again, you don't have to believe in it. You just acknowledge that this is what is happening. The way we have constructed society, not having a job is a big deal, particularly if you are providing for other people. It is a big deal. Let's acknowledge that. So I just want to have that said so we don't go into any like woo-woo about it, because it is true that with all the things that are happening in you right now, the job that you had might fit the markers that you was, it might be that something else is happening because so many things is happening in you. I mean, just the time we have known you, so many things has happened in you. There's like, yeah. And it kind of leads me to the next question, and which is, you don't need to answer it. It's just a question that I'm posing for everybody as well. How do you know you're not awake? What exactly does that mean, that you know that you're not awake and other people are? When we talk about, I want to turn back to that in a moment. When you talk about that you see how other people, they experience it, and when they are on a retreat and they share about how it was, and now they're awake, and how do you know? How do you know? You know what you think you hear, which is based on you. And even if they say, but there are angels around me and now I see aura and all of that, you just projected into what that means. Another person might think they're absolutely crazy. That is signs of a psychotic break. But you sit and have that, oh, wow, I wish I was awake like that. So whatever you hear other people say that their experience is of meditation, of being on a retreat, of going vegan or running 5Ks every day, whatever you think they experience is your projection of how you think you would feel if you experience what you think they experience. They're not even in the equation at all. It's your projection of your assumption plastered on to your life. And it kind of circles back to that, how do you know you're not awake? How do any of us know that we are awake or not awake? Isn't that just another dual thing? So that was one question I just want to leave you with, to question yourself when you start to go into that downward spiral. How do you know? Are you that wise that you that you even know that? Another thing I want to circle on, and I don't want to pull the rug on anyone, but again, I'm not seeing you guys for the next 6 months, so I can do what I want. When we talk about the dark night of the soul, there needs to be a soul for that to even happen. I know what is meant with it, that we go through a suffering. But we call it the dark night of the soul because it kind of indicates of how much suffering there is. But I just want to kind of like pull you guys up to a point where we don't put any judgment or opinion on anything. There cannot be a dark night of the soul without the soul. There cannot be a dark night without a light night. There can't be suffering unless there's an idea of things could actually be different than what they are right now. And all that is 4 or 5 fetters. If you have these thoughts, work with the 4th and the 5th fetter. If you think anything can be any different than what it is right now, you're deluding yourself. You are creating a scenario that you think this is how it is. This is how I would like for it to be. And what we're saying is that neither that or that are real. You just made both of them. You just made it up. You just created a scenario where this is where I am, this is how I would like to be, which means I am not, I should be. You just did that. You just did that. None of those are real. You just made that shit up. What if you don't? What if you don't?
I think everything you said applies to me, but just for anybody else too, I think you would say the same thing about the opposite, because what I tend to do is the catastrophizing, not the, oh, it's like I'm already am homeless.
Yeah.
Like that's where my mind goes, not to the better
Yeah.
scenario, but I can see that's the same thing that you're talking about. That's not reality.
No.
No,
Yeah.
it's very common though, because, and I think we've talked about this before, that it evolutionarily we rode to learn that it's safer for us as biological beings to assume the worst or project the worst, because we can, steer clear of that, the rustling in that bush, or we know that watering hole always has lions attending it or something, like whatever it is. Like, we learn that if we think of the worst thing, we can kind of keep ourselves safe, but that leaves us with this unfair bias where we assume that that is then the more likely of the possible scenarios. It's just the one that we're giving more mental attention to, because it's the one that historically has kept us safer than assuming that, I'm going to win $1 million in the lottery without actually playing the lottery. And yeah, that happens much, much less frequently. So and I'm not saying it's like never happened. Maybe so, you find a lottery ticket when you're walking down the street, and next thing you know, you have just won the lottery without doing anything. But it's just, it's this unbalanced view that we have of the truth-telling nature of our thoughts. That anything we have, we have to constantly come back to recognize that it's just the conditioned behavior, the pattern of thinking that's going on. And again, I echo also Pernilla's, I'm so sorry for you losing your job. And I do also agree, we really have to have that kind of real world recognition when things are going on, and that there are, potential ramifications. But it is like you are right now sitting appropriately cool or warm in, a walled environment and all of that. And from that point, you can then look in a very like logical, rational manner. Okay, well, what can I do to find a job? What can I do to get support, to stay off the street? But any thoughts that go beyond the practical, okay, well, I can do this, I can research this, I can do that, and go into the storytelling about what if this will definitely happen. Well, that might happen. That probably won't happen. All of that is just hypotheticals that the mind is putting up to distract you, most likely from that unconscious fear that's in the body, that there is something unsafe in the current environment. Even if it's nothing has changed in your physical environment around you, there's this idea that something in your situation is not as it was, or maybe as it felt like it should be. You've lost some form of a safety net there. And then that starts projecting, well, how do I fix this? How do I, the brain is like it's like when people, you always say, if you're trying to like solve a math problem or problem, and you go to bed, and the brain, the subconscious is working on it all the time in the background until it pops up the answer into consciousness. It's kind of the same sort of thing. Like, you have a problem that now exists, that you need to find a job. So the subconscious is like toiling away all the time. And that unconscious toiling away is creating a sense of dis-ease, or something isn't right. And then the conscious mind is constantly trying to make sense of that by assuming that, well, yes, so I'm feeling uncertain. What has changed? I feel fearful in the body. What has changed? Oh, I don't have a job. Well, that must mean I'm actually in danger, and now I'm going to be, homeless, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of like meaning making out of the changes in biology that are happening. And it just really comes back to what Pernilla was saying about recognizing when you're creating when you're creating anything out of, anything, putting any sort of extra belief or power in the hands of those thoughts. Like you had said, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm sitting and thinking of something.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
interrupt.
exactly. It was when your hands were there and then here, and there was something but I forgot what it was. But it's something related to that. It'll probably come back. But do you want to jump in before you forget the?
No, because it's a bit what when you talk about the part where you can sit and you wail and your body is reacting and then you find yourself that you have actually been sitting or thinking about things while your body was reacting and you were wailing. That is a really good image of how it is to be a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the meat suit where a lot of things are happening, and then we have thoughts where a lot of things are happening. Neither of them are omniscient or know anything more. We wish it was so, because that means that suddenly life would feel safe. I believe in a God. My thought. I'm divinely guided. The universe is shining upon me, and all of that. Then it just gives a feeling of safety, because it's so dang uncomfortable knowing that there is no meaning to anything, and I don't mean it in the nihilistic, shoot yourself. It's not at all how I mean it. It's just that there's like that. You said it before, that we have that tendency to think that the thoughts are speaking truth. But they can't. They can only regurgitate what you previously have thought. So it's just a rerun. It's just a rerun. There's not any new programs being put up at all. It's just a rerun and it's going. And it's a bit the same with the body. We have this tendency to, just because we have no access to what is happening subconsciously in the body, we have this idea to make that into something. Oh, there must be a lot of trauma. There's a lot going on here. And then we make that into something special, which is just the same. It's just the same. There is no meaning. If your body needs to shake or jump or move or wail, or do that. Do that. But it doesn't mean that suddenly is important or more important than anything else. It's just, and it's like a cat stretching herself. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that the body needs to stretch, and that's it.
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was actually related to that. It was
I knew it.
Yeah, when you say about it was the dark night of the soul thing, we have this, habitual tendency of wanting to categorize and put things into meaningful boxes. And, and the same goes with your question about does the trauma have to be, let go of to a certain extent before, awakening can happen or whatever. I think the issue isn't really. Well, I think what we keep coming back to is that, there is no monolithic, unified definition of what awakening even is. And so for some people, you can absolutely have experiences, and it might not be long-lasting change, but you can have all sorts of unique, interesting shifts and different experiences, while there's a lot of traumatic baggage still in the tank. But the real work is, even after you have had those openings, those seeing that, there really is no self, having those shifts of experience that may or may not be long lasting, then working with all of the traumatic material, working with everything that comes up, because it's all effectively the same, right? Your most grieved wailing and your the worst traumatic baggage that you have is still just a manifestation in consciousness in this moment. It comes up the same as everything else. It's a bodily sensation, it's a vocalization, it's a thought, there's something else, but it's all made of the same stuff. That in itself is not any actually different than watching TV or reciting a poem in your head or just, observing the trees. It's all this same consciousness that everything is happening in. So any extra meaning that we put on my experience has to contain only butterflies and tulips, but absolutely no wailing and, pain and shaking in the body. That's just a dualistic thinking that, life should only be a certain way, and the awakened experience should only be a certain way.
Yeah.
And kind of secondarily, you had the point about, like you'd said with your meditating, that you maybe don't get like extended periods of equanimity and that sort of thing. But again, it's the kind of equanimity that we're talking about is what is happening while all of this other stuff is happening. So while the body is emoting, and it sounds like in a way you're kind of close to that because you have the sort of detached awareness of what's going on without being, oh, I am, screaming my soul out in this experience. Like you said, you're kind of like bored and want to check your phone because, there's like, would you, just get it over with already? We don't have to go to that extent because we could go into a whole, fifth fetter thing about boredom, but the point is that you have the detachment from it, which is sort of like the first step, that you're aware that it's not you who is doing this. It's not, there's no ownership or identification with that part of the experience. So now you can actually work from that perspective on the equanimity of being in a body that when it sits down to meditate, screams and cries. Can you be okay with that? Can you recognize the unique, almost like, neutral delight of that experience? Because it's just like any other experience. Take anything that you enjoy, and you can feel the pleasurable sensation of that, or even the neutral sensation of that. Can you do the same thing with a body that's wailing and screaming and shaking and doing all the things that it might do? And just recognize this is what is happening now. Feel that kind of peaceful okayness with the fact that this is what is happening. It's even predictable at this point. Every time you sit down, it's going to happen. So, like if your car was out of gas and every time you went in the car, you tried to turn the key and it didn't start, you should predict by now that if there's no gas in the car and you turn the key, it's not going to start. It's the same sort of thing. Just have that same kind of, yeah, okay, I expect this. And then the second question is, once you recognize that you can accept what is here, then, that you can expect what is here, then the question is, can you accept what is here? And it's just that recognition that, yeah, okay, I expected this to happen. Every time I sit down and meditate, this happens. And now I can accept that for right now, it's probably not going to be eternal that this is going to happen. So for right now, for this hour, or even just this second right now, can I accept that this is happening? And let that bring that equanimous stillness into the body and the mind, because then you're not fighting against it. The mind isn't creating stories about it or reasons why it shouldn't be this way. And it alleviates that restlessness of wanting something else to happen, because there's always, if it's a problem to be doing that, it's a problem because you think you should be sitting quietly in some peaceful state of calm, still mindless equanimity. That can be there while all of this other stuff is happening at the same time.
Because I just want to emphasize that awakening is not something that happens. It's already here.
Yeah.
It's not something that suddenly, the sky is open and then, everything is different. It's not. It's already here. You're already there.
It is your approach.
So awakening, you are already awake. Awakening is already here. You're spending your time sitting and wailing and shaking and being concerned about your job and your family and survival and childhood trauma and all of that. But that is happening simultaneously with awakening being here. It's not like something else will happen and in that bubble awakening exists. It already is here. It's why we can't precisely say what awakening actually is. It's like not noticing or engaging or believing in anything but what is arising right now, not wanting anything else but what is arising right now, and not having an an opinion about anything could be any different than what it is right now. And what is right now. So it's not gonna happen because it already has happened. You know, it's already here. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Thank you so much. This is all very helpful, and I don't want to take up more time because there are other people waiting. But maybe if you feel like it, one of you could sometime make a video about talking about that kind of mindfulness that you were talking about of, I'm not identified with it, and dissociation.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I have that question comes up for me not. Am I dissociating? Am I actually being mindful? Is it really the same thing? And
it's a fine line.
But again, I know there are other people waiting, but that's the
okay.
confusion that I have.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a fine line. What we're talking about with like sort of, I think we use the word like detachment more often than dissociation, but it's like you're still present and you're still aware with what's happening. You're still feeling everything. The problem with dissociation is a lot of times you literally feel like you are ejected outside of the body. You've gone numb. You don't feel, or it's like a different state of consciousness that is like a trauma response to basically deflect from experiencing something. And and like I used to have that when I used to have a lot of anxiety stuff, like in my teens, especially in 20s. And it feels like being, in my experience, it would feel like being almost like a passenger in like a moving like I would hear the mouth talking to people. I would see the hands doing things and performing all the actions, but it felt like I had become this little observer in it that was, but there was a feeling of like helplessness in it. Like I wasn't in control of the body and whatever was going on. And I was just hoping that it did things that were like appropriate and normal and didn't get itself in trouble or, whatever. But it was like really not being part of the situation, but had a very sort of negative overlay to it. There was like an anxious overlay to that. The detachment is where you're fully aware that the sensations are there. You are feeling everything. You can, be aware of all of the thoughts that are happening. You're just not identified with the thoughts. You can recognize that they're going on, but you don't identify them as yours. You can feel the sensations, but you have that enough, like Pernilla said, that the unpinned kind of perspective on all of the sensations that you can feel them without being completely overwhelmed by them or making all the stories about them and what this means and everything else. So you're fully present with what's there, but from a state that just allows you to be okay, just exploring. And it's like, yeah,
it's where one thing is one thing.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like a bit like the Buddhist story about the second arrow, that the story is that you're shot with an arrow and that hurts, but the second arrow is the stories you create about being shot with an arrow. Oh my God, what is that going to mean? That is the real suffering, isn't that? And it's a bit like that you see the one thing for what it is, and it's just one thing. You don't add a lot to it, and that is, I see the difference with being detached and disassociated. Because when you're disassociated, you're still creating a lot of something out of nothing. There's still a lot of suffering. In the detachment, it's just more like an arising of something, which is okay. It's what I normally compare it with, like root canal or warm bath. There's an arising of something, and it's okay. There's nothing in this moment that needs to be any different. What things being having a root canal, you're at the dentist and you imagine that it would be so nice when this is done. It's going to be so much better if I get more, so I'm not more painkiller so it's not as painful. There's constant extra adding onto the situation. When we talk about uh, being detached to things, that is when you see one thing and it's that one thing, and that one thing can only be okay because it is as it is. There's not anything creating more out of it, and there's no thoughts about it needing to be any different than what it is.
It's a more scientific perspective. It's like to me, when I do and try to explain all of the inquiries to people, I'm thinking of like a scientist in like one of those uh, labs where their hands go like through the glass, to manipulate the thing, and it's like they're completely aware of what is there. They're totally present in the situation, but there's no confusion about whatever the object is being them. It's like but complete fascination of what that is, to experience it and understand what it is and to really be completely with it presently. But there's very clearly like there's no impact on me with that. And it's the same thing when you're having those experiences, when you're experiencing, pain and things in the body. It's having that detached, so interesting to just explore it without assuming that I know what it is. I'm really seeing this for the first time every time. And really, this is just fascinating to feel it and to really experience it with nothing else put on it from, prehistory or anything else. So but it's that kind of detachment, but not dissociation.
Mm.
Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best in the move.
Thank you so much, Marcus. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, looking forward to what's going on in your life. Keep us informed.
Please keep us posted. Yeah, because we definitely want to know what's going on with you too.
Yeah.
Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.
Remove.
Thank you.
And then
I saw some new options I haven't seen before there. I got very confused.
And then it's
That's fine.
There we go.
Hello.
Do you say Ilo or Ilo?
Ilvo.
Ilvo.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm well. Yeah, happy to see you. I just wanted to say I really love the way you look at each other. It's good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love what I'm looking at.
Thank you so much.
It helps.
And actually, I had wanted to point out you have an eyelash here that I've been trying not to like poke in the eye.
That's what it was.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the eyelash. There we go.
It's not love or anything. It's just an eyelash he's focused on.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. So yeah, just wanted to check in, share a little bit of what's happening in the last months or so.
Yeah.
And also while you were doing your introduction, Pernille, I thought of a kind of a question, and it intertwines with a question that I think I had. Anyways, what's happening is I would say that I didn't consider myself awake. Now it's a little bit funny, but but then and last month I had a retreat and everybody was talking about their awakening experience, and I was kind of retreating to have that, and I realized like afterwards. And anytime that someone would mention their awakening, I would go jealous, like I want that, or envy, and there was a lot of seeking energy, but I didn't recognize it as seeking energy at that point. It was just me wanting that. So yeah.
I love you honest about that. Yeah. I love you honest about that. I just interject a bit because that is something that people don't talk about, that they don't want to admit because they feel, admitting is a defeat or something. I love that you're honest and owning it. And it's exactly what we started by saying, the unconditional acceptance. This is how it is.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And to be honest, now you remind me that I think a key part of what's been unfolding in the last months. It's that I actually, the last day of the retreat, I raised my hand and I asked a question and I talked about this. And it's not like I had a question, but just putting it out there,
Yeah.
it really made me see that it was just seeking energy. It wasn't actual. So that changed quite a bit. And then I talked to a couple of people, and then I saw a video from Angelo that was like the kind of the last doubt before awakening, something like that, which was I am not awake. And in that moment, it just became very clear that the I that is not awake can only be in thoughts. Or it's like the next thought looking at that thought.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It like it kind of is clear always.
Yeah.
So that kind of let's say happened. And a nice relief, especially after that came, because I just realized I was really looking for something that I could never get, which was the awakening experience. Even though of course, I heard anybody say awakening is here, it's already the case, and all that stuff, endless. But for some reason, it's what it is. And after this, I'm like, okay, that's kind of fun. Also, how it played out in my mind all these years, and now it's here. And so, like I'm I'm trying not to make much about it, but I'm still doing. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Again, I thought I had a question about practice and like what to orient towards now. And then before the meeting, I was like, I don't know, I don't feel like I have a lot of reactivity at this point in time. And so I was kind of getting curious about subject-object construct, that kind of thing. And I started your playlist about the sixth fetter, and I'm started resonating a lot with the first lesson, which is boundaries. And I had psychosis in my early 20s, so I think that that is playing a huge part for me in my boundaries. Like I was completely blown open, and it was quite traumatic, to be honest. So I'm looking into that. I mean, I just started a video, and
that's pretty much
before we go to the sixth feather, I just want to say that what you just talked about, realizing that there is nothing else than what just is, that can be a great practice, and I can recommend you to just slow down a little bit and just have that with you for a period, a couple of weeks or whatever feels right, where you just, in every situation of your everyday life, you just take a moment to notice, what else do I think is here right now than what actually just is here. So you just really have it settling in you, because that is it that is awakening. That is where you're calm, no matter what you're going to find in the sixth fetter, and no matter what you're going to deal with in your body about psychosis you had. That is where that is. And the more you create a normal, natural state of that, the easier everything else will be, because you would see it with clarity. It's kind of like, you will keep having that tone with you. Like if you're singing a song, you need like that boot to give you like the tone that you want to start singing on. That's me being a musical here. So it's like that you just do that for a while, before you skedoodle off and do other stuff. I think it's a good idea just to slow down a little bit and have that settling in you as a new normal.
Okay.
Because you're really onto something. You're really, really onto something that is like a huge gate in front of you.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it makes a lot of sense. Also, while I was speaking about it, I sensed that it was like big, and I was kind of going very fast above
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And if you can just slow a little bit down and just explore that in lots of, doing the dishes, collecting the laundry, normal things, taking the bus, like normal things. In that moment when you remember, just like, okay, what is actually here besides what is here? What am I adding on to this situation?
Yeah.
With all that, without all that adding on to it, what is actually here? And it's that very, very clear being, like we talked about just with Marcus, there's like that single clarity thing and nothing else.
Mm.
And that is just I think now in what we're doing with going through the entire house and looking at everything and making a bit move and all of that, there is there's surprisingly little drama about it. It's more a matter of factly we're moving from A to B because of factual things. And there's not really we're not people always go, aren't you excited? And we're like, no, not really. No, not really, no. Because it's not there's like that, exactly what I'm trying to say. There's that very clear single
Okayness.
crystal point.
Yeah.
And the other stuff is just not there. Do you know what I mean?
I think, I know it. It's like it comes across as okayness to me.
Yeah.
Could be. And also you talking about this, I actually remember kind of it's a little bit something that it seems a little bit confusing in my experience. Like there's like thoughts and consciousness and the senses. So the five sense gates and consciousness, it gets weird. It's like yeah, maybe some guidance around this would be nice. Like it gets a little bit weird to investigate the senses because there's always thought in it, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it like the as I perceived it like a couple of weeks ago, it was like everything in my sensory experience, it's like wrapped around a thin veil of thoughts
Yeah.
and images. So it's like the sensation is here, and as soon as the sensation is here, it's thought, and then
Yes.
reflecting. If I'm not like present enough, it's gonna reflect on and on and on.
Yeah.
So continue to be aware of that. That's such a key part of the way that we function, and so being aware that that is actually happening. I think where it maybe gets a little bit more, I might be mistaken, but from my understanding, I think a lot of the explanations about consciousness being sort of separate from the sense fields is from when people do like jhana meditation and stuff. You can have an experience where it seems like there is sort of disconnected consciousness with no other sensory things being online at that point. But in your basic waking functioning, your basic going about life, the two are inextricably linked because all of your senses are fabrications of the brain. They are literally a type of thought. There is no real distinction between anything that you see, hear, smell, taste, or feel, and anything that you imagine seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, or feeling. It is all generated in the kind of virtual reality display of your mind. It's not to say that there isn't a real world out there that's creating all of the sensory information that, is being reflected back into this. But the fact is you can't actually perceive any of it without your brain doing that intermediary step of actually translating it into something that makes sense to you and representing it in a way that you experience it. If your brain wasn't able to do that with the sight, you would be blind. If it wasn't able to do that with sound waves coming into the ears, you would be deaf. Those faculties literally would not exist for you if the brain wasn't able to actually generate a representation of whatever is out there for you. And so in a very real way, that is just as much thought stuff as the completely dissociated thoughts that we have that are, a unicorn prancing around the moon. Like, it's completely, it seems fantastical, but it's created by the same image generating machine that is actually generating the screen that you're looking at right now and us on it. So especially when you start working with the sixth fetter, we talk a lot more about this sort of thing. And it really breaks down the boundary of inner and outer and real and unreal and all of that, because it's all being generated by the mind. So what you're noticing is that is sort of like the first level of, you see something and the mind is automatically making thoughts about it that are like remembering what was there before, or that having associations with the thing, which happens immediately, incredibly fast. But also what it appears, going to the neuroscience side of things, the brain is really projecting what it thinks is there based on priors, right? So as we currently understand it, what you're seeing is not really what's out there. It's the brain's prediction of what it thinks is out there based on. So there are so many really fascinating illusions and things that you can find online that point this out to us, that we're not seeing what is actually there. We're seeing what the brain is assuming is there based on its best guesses from what it has taken in before, and all of the kind of trial and error mistakes that it's made, and ways that it's improved its predictions. But that is what you're getting. So a lot of what you're seeing is reflecting the fact that you have this wonderful piece of wetware in the head that's creating all of these projections of what it thinks is here, checking back and forth. Does this relate to something else that I've seen before? How do I feel about this? All of that is happening subconsciously. And it's not a problem that it's happening. It's not something that you have to get rid of or anything like that. It's a biological function of how we are generating the world moment to moment. It's absolutely part and parcel of how we exist. It's just a matter of noticing that that's happening, so that you don't take every one of those associations as truth. Because just like we talked to Marcus about, every thought is not reality. You can't trust all of those. And what ends up happening, and what you'll probably find the more you become aware of these things, is that those very subtle, very quick associations that you make when you see an object, for instance, those are coloring your perception of the object. They're coloring your perception of the moment and how you feel being around it. All of the past, associations of that object and what it means to you, and, the life story of it, or whether you like it or not. All of those things come online really quickly. And most people, that's their unquestioned reality.
Can I just add a little bracket to that? That what it also does is that it's also verifying your perception of you, and the existence of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the more you become aware of that, the more like you notice it happening without actually buying into it. You can recognize, oh yeah, okay, there's that again. It's still, a vase that's on the table. It still functions as a vase, but all of those stories that you had about it, all of those immediate relationships to it, are just a fabrication of the mind that's coming online every instant.
It's like it gets more of a vase, but in the end, the very first perception of a vase itself, it's itself a thought. So it's not even a vase in the end.
Yeah, I mean, if you really are looking at the vase, right? Like, it's your first initial assumption when you see a vase is if it's a vase, like we'll say right now that it's like a vase that's been in your family for decades, you see it, but you see it as a three-dimensional object with this whole life history attached to it. And it's almost like it all comes online in an instant the second that you see it. And if you were to really pause and just look at what's there, you'll notice that A, it's not three-dimensional. Your visual representation of it is actually a two-dimensional object, right? You'll see it kind of a weirdly skewed perspective of a two-dimensional thing with colors and shapes. The more you look at it, the more you'll actually realize you can't really define that shape against the background, right? It's like you're picking out different little patterns of shape and color and saying this is vase and the rest of it is wall and table and other objects. If you start to recognize all of the thoughts and physical sensations that it takes to remember the past history of where that vase came from, all the interactions I've had it in the past, who originally bought it in the family, and all of that, all of the dislikes and likes about it, all of those things you can observe if you really slow down and just take a look at what's there. But you'll recognize that none of that is a reality in that vase. They're all put on like layers of three-dimensionality. Just the idea that you could even put water and flowers in it, if there aren't currently ones in it, is an assumption that the mind is putting on it. Because again, it just looks like a two-dimensional object. If you hold it and close your eyes, it is a completely different experience. Yeah, it will feel nothing like it thought in your mind. It doesn't feel like it looks in the mind. And then, like Pernilla was saying, the more you hold it, the more your sensation of it will actually start to disappear, and it will just kind of vanish in your hands. So you can just sort of play and explore with these things to break down all of those little layers of meaning that we seem to be putting on everything. And
again, I just want to emphasize that when we do that, what we verify when we look at it, like I'm sitting and looking at Todd's coffee glass that is there. Immediately when I look at it, like Todd said, I make it into a 3D, even though what I'm looking at is 2D. I'm making it into, so I have a little story about it. What I also want to emphasize when we do that is start to notice how much we make things about me. That when you look at the vase, you notice you get a little because there's a little chink in the vase that happened by accident, and then you remember, I'm always so clumsy. Suddenly you made a vase into you being clumsy. How did that happen? We have this tendency with inserting ourselves into it, and it's because it makes us feel important. It makes us feel like we really exist, like there is really a me, and I'm the clumsy one. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, what I also notice, sometimes it might be emotional, but sometimes it's just, if that's there, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really just relational. It's like to just make me real, I need something else to not be me.
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly. So when you start to dive into the sixth fetter, notice that we constantly look back to an I, and in that we verify the I existing.
Yeah.
Because when you realize that there is nothing out there, everything is created in here, it collapses. There's an exercise, whether you don't need to suddenly look very concerned. There's an exercise.
Yeah, it does seem concerning.
Yeah.
But what I also wanted to bring up, I had written down, was just to remember that all of the fetter stuff is circular. So when you get, and you're working on the sixth fetter stuff, don't be surprised if it brings you back to something in the second fetter, like your psychotic episode, which I also shared in my 20s. And so if something like that happens and you start to feel, issues of breaking down boundaries and the unsafety, go back to the second fetter and work with that too, because it's just each of these is a different level and a twist of the kaleidoscope on different.
I really love
facet,
the kind of circular view of it, and it's like, yeah, it makes me feel safe that I can go back to realizing stuff that's coming up now, kind of thing.
Yeah, because it brings up new things seen with new insight, and obviously going back and looking at it, you have more knowledge to look at it, so it only makes sense.
It's really like looking at the facet of a diamond that you're looking in from one side and then you look in from another side, another side, another side, and you're seeing the same core no matter what, but you're getting all these different visual representations of it depending on the angle with which we look through.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I have the feeling that I've been here, but just from some different angle in my past, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to reflect on one other thing that was brought up in the introduction. I kind of I find it relevant to be curious, and sometimes I feel like I'm not, or I should be, and I'm seeing why I'm not. Okay, that's okay. So yeah.
I love when you sort things out on your own. Happy to help. Happy to help.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Seems cool.
Love it.
Also,
thank you so much.
Sorry, one other I was just going to put in that, because this was, you had kind of said, it was kind of a question that you didn't ask, but you said that originally you came in and you were going to ask about like which direction to go, and then but I think this is just useful for everybody in general too, is instead of thinking of it as either a linear, fetter-wise progression, or even you can become aware that just like you had the kind of striving for, seeing other people's experiences and then wanting that experience for yourself and that sort of thing, that seeking energy can be there a lot in different guises. So just notice also, when you feel like the push to, now I'm doing the sixth fetter, and if it resonates, absolutely go for it. I'm not saying that, but just be aware that seeking energy comes in lots of different flavors and gradations. And one thing that, if you are kind of stuck in your practice and you don't really know which direction to go at this point, but it feels like something needs to be done, I would recommend looking for, where am I suffering in life right now? And then turn your attention towards that. And that will be different maybe throughout the day, throughout the month, whatever, but be aware you'll probably have certain aspects of your life that come to the fore as you're routinely suffering around. And like you had said, it's not so much desire and aversion, but that might be a thing. It could be feelings of, emotional stuff that's still there, like loneliness or something like that. So observe that. It might be the feeling that you're not awake enough, and that's causing a sense of dissatisfaction. Okay, well, we're back to the fourth fetter again. There are lots of little ways that these things come back in more and more subtle gradations as well. So just be aware, where am I really suffering? Oh, I'm believing my thoughts, or I'm believing that, really struggling with some other, greater belief that things are the way that they seem to be or whatever, and then investigate those. So use that, because I don't.
That's a great exercise.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Well, everybody has different meditation experiences and inquiry experiences. So you'll never be able to look at somebody else's experiences and use that as a map for your own progress, right? Because you don't need what everybody else needs. Your biology and your brain is different from everybody else's biology and brain. Your past experiences are different from their past experiences. Everybody's path is unique. And as you said earlier, everybody's describing their experiences in a way that's relevant to them. And then you're hearing it through your lenses and filters, which make it into something for you that's not necessarily what they experienced at all. And because none of this is like completely consistent between us, it's very hard to know sometimes, when you're trying to compare your experience to others, where you are. The irony of that being, it's always referring back to a self who could be awake or not awake or one thing or another, which when those thoughts arise, point you back to looking for that one again. And in that same way, we just look for, okay, so where am I hung up? Where am I suffering right now? And then let that point you to the next thing that needs your attention. And then let that be your practice rather than trying to chase experiences, because experiences are just that. No matter how big of a shift somebody has, unless you continue working with it and continue, practicing and maintaining it, it's just going to reverse anyway. It's going to go back. So these things
That's
are
the uplifting news of the day.
It is, but nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent, and they're basically changes in our perceptual states that, like every other like every other change that we have in our experience, you have to continue. Like if you learn an instrument and you're really good at the instrument and then you stop playing for 20 years, you're not going to be good at the instrument anymore. Right? It's the same with this. You're literally practicing to change the perception in a way that to no longer be attached to certain things, to no longer get upset about certain things, to no longer put that sense of self in the center of everything. And if you stop the practice of not putting that self in the center of everything again, that sense of self will eventually come back online. Might be gradually, and then before you know it, you're selfing all over the place again because you just haven't realized that you let your guard down and the old mechanism came back online. So there's no just like eternal shift that happens. It's all with practice, and it's all maintaining that practice. And so it's relevant for any of us all the time to look, where am I suffering? And then that leads us to where our attention should go in our practice.
That's huge.
That's
Thank you.
really, yeah. Thank you so much. So good seeing you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And
Luck with
yeah,
moving.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really a good exercise.
Thanks, babe.
Really good exercise. Where am I suffering right now? That is really, really good exercise.
Thank you. I'm contemplating speaking of suffering, if we should have a bio break quickly before the next.
Bio away?
2 minute.
We just have a bio break.
Sorry.
And I just take the sound, so bio away. And we're back.
We're back. Thank you for that.
Thank you for your patience. Charmaine, hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Good.
So I've been listening to you guys for about a year and a half now, and participating sometimes in the Fetter groups and got the Fetter program, but we haven't talked before. This is the first time we're talking.
It's a
And I
pleasure
was
to
really
meet you.
excited to hear you guys are going to Spain. I have family in Barcelona, and we spend
Really?
a lot of time in Alicante, which is not so far from Valencia. So it's nice to know that you
That is nice.
That's
guys will be
wonderful.
there. Yeah.
We've actually been looking at the Alicante region as well, because nothing is ever completely settled until
Until it
Yeah.
is.
it is. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Good. So thank you for taking my question here. Lately, well, in the last year, I've been focusing a lot more on body sensations and non-dual perception and so on, and it's been lovely, transformative in inquiry, in shadow work, meditation, and so on. And when I'm alone, it's easier, and when I'm with some friends who I'm close with, I can kind of stay in the body on and off, phasing in and out. And what I find is, especially when I'm in a larger group of people, or if I'm speaking in a group, it's it feels a little bit what the mind says, and I know it's just the mind, but the mind starts to tell me it's self-indulgent to stay in the body. Like, for example, if I'm giving a talk or something like that, for years my MO was to kind of float my awareness out, not be connected to my body, be very aware of who I'm talking to or the crowd or what the feeling is in the room. And it's kind of disassociated. I realized, even though the mind feels like, the mind kind of opens
Yeah.
up and it feels like the perception is stronger. It feels like I have more clarity. And I don't really know how to get out of that, because when I try to pull in and feel like the nervousness or feel other people's emotions, when you start to feel your own, the wall between you and others kind of falls down.
Yeah.
I get fear that I'm going to feel their emotions, that it's going to be triggering because of my own stuff,
Mm.
and also that I'm just kind of closing in on myself because I'm feeling my own emotions. And so I know that's just thought, but I was wondering what your thoughts are on that, to kind of be able to feel the emotions but still be um
Yeah.
still like offer a service of communicating and doing what I'm used to, but from
Yeah.
a different place. Yeah.
I completely hear. I know exactly what you talk about. You're minimizing when you say it's just thought, because it's not. To me, it's very, very clear, a survival mechanism. That is how you, in your life, from when you were born, learned this is how Charmaine survives. And that is by when we're children, before we can, just get up and crawl away or run away, we are very, very much in the mercy of our caretakers. And if you wake up at night and you have a wet diaper and you lie and cry, you're not aware that it's a wet diaper, but you just feel discomfort in your body. And you cry for them to come and give you a new diaper. But they're sitting at the other end of the house, so they don't hear you. There's no malice in it at all. But you will, in your body, realize that you having discomfort, nobody's coming and helping you with that. In that moment, our brain or our survival teach us that we can do two things, and we kind of make that choice when we're between 0 to 3 years old, and that sticks with us. And the choice is either you focus on me, don't care about them, I'm my own, what is called I what is that called in English? Where you just focus on yourself. You're your own, helper. Nobody's gonna come and save you. It's you, and it's you putting the most important one first, and all of those phrases that you hear people have. That is because they pre-verbal. made a decision that if I need anything in life, I cannot rely on anyone. I need to rely on me. The other one we can do, and that is what it sounds like you have done. It is that they are my safe haven. So I need to leave me. I have a wet diaper. My body is in discomfort. I cannot survive on my own. I need them. So therefore, I leave me. My needs are left behind, and I focus on their needs. I focus on what they want. And that then became, when you got language in school, you would look at you would say something, and then you would immediately look how other people react to what you said. And if you could pick up on them not liking it, you wouldn't say that again. So slowly, you chipped away of your sense of self, of the feeling of an I. And paradoxically, everybody who recognizes themselves in this, paradoxically, working with dissolving the self is the worst you can do. Because you need to go the other way. You need first to build up strong boundaries. You need to build up a clear sense of a body yes and a body no. Like a very good friend of mine, back when we started to talk about all this, said that I have I have a yes, and then I have a delicious yes. Where slowly she has worked towards, no, it's not a yes and a delicious yes. It's a yes and a no. And it's the body yes and the body no that I would like for you to focus on and emphasize on. The exercise that you're trying to do when you're sitting in a big room and your focus is on the other people, it's way past your pay grade at this moment. You can't work with it there, because that is like, it cannot be a scarier scenario that you put yourself through. So you need to wheel it back. And in your everyday life, notice when you have a pleasant sensation, a neutral sensation, or an unpleasant sensation. And you don't need to create stories about why this is pleasant or neutral or unpleasant. Just notice it. Because the more things you notice that, I like green apples today. Today I don't like green apples. The more you notice you, the better you will be in building up strong boundaries. And when you have strong boundaries and you're completely safe in your space, then we can dissolve the self. But the self needs to be there first. If we haven't had a strong self as children, we need to get that first before we start to talk about dissolving the self. So I would recommend you to work with the second fetter and the sixth fetter. The sixth fetter, but only the one where I talk about boundaries. I have a whole lesson where I talk about boundaries and talk about this, that there are three different type of boundaries that we create very, very early on, pre-verbal. And those need to be built up first.
Okay, so I have a question there. I was doing I haven't made it to your sixth playlist yet. I'm just on number 4, but I have looked at Kevin Shanlek's exercises for the sixth fetter. And what was interesting was that he was talking about using the example of looking at a tree. Yeah. So you look at a tree from your peripheral vision, and you feel the kind of non-dual, indistinct. You are the tree. There's a bit of a blurred line, and then when you look at it directly, there's this feeling of this pole in between you. Yeah, and the clarity of the detail and so on. But not to exaggerate, but like when I look at something straight on like that and have that distinction, it feels so satisfying, almost like a high. Yeah. And the body, yes, feels sweet and lovely, but it doesn't feel like the crack cocaine of seeing something and having that distinctness. Yeah. And so what would you say there? Just notice that sensation of the high and let let it be what it is, but don't maybe realize that I'm unconsciously trying to get more of it, and just sit with it? Or like, what would be an exercise to do there to kind of unhook from that mind expansion that feels so good?
But again, what is it? What is it exactly that you want to change?
Well, I guess it's I guess it's that I'm aware that it's reifying and solidifying the separate self. And the times that I have had, either through psychedelics or through meditation, of not having a separate self, I know it's what I want. It's just that this body doesn't seem to want it.
Yeah, but again, I'm circling back to what I started by saying. I don't think that is for yet. The best recommendation I can give you,
Right. Yeah.
the best recommendation I can give you is build strong boundaries. And I absolutely, hand to heart, promise you, if you build strong boundaries, dissolving the self is going to be a walk in the park. It's going to happen like that. But it's just right now, your entire survival mechanism is fighting against you. You know, it's
Okay.
like,
Right. So just be okay with the separate self. Like you
exactly.
said, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Something just clicked. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that. Right.
Yeah.
So in that experience of separateness, it's okay to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
and
In
to
that
feel
moment,
different and-
emphasize,
Okay.
exactly. In that moment, emphasize, oh, I'm here.
Oh,
You know,
God.
this
Okay.
is me.
Wow.
This is me. I'm here. You know, I'm solid. I'm okay. I'm right here. And you can have a thought going like, and I'm with you. You know, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I got your back. No matter what happens, I got your back. I remember as a child when I didn't have my back because I thought I needed to dissolve and be the others. But right now, I got your back. No matter what happens, you can always rely on me. I'm right here. I see you.
Okay.
That needs to be strong and solid in you. And
Okay.
suddenly the sense of a self that you're trying to dissolve, it will dissolve itself because it's not there. But in your case, you need to have the strong boundaries. You need to have a complete. I once worked with a clairvoyant. It was exactly the same we worked on. It was about her, first of all, creating this here so she could dissolve and be there. Because
Yeah.
without this here, there's so many hooks in fear and past trauma and all of that, and all that needs to be owned and loved first.
Right. Yeah. Oh God, that's it's so shocking to hear that. Like it's such a paradigm shift. It's the absolute opposite direction than the way I've been going.
But can
Yeah.
you
But it
feel
feels,
a
oh yeah.
resonance in your body when I say it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It feels, yeah.
that is your guiding. That is your guiding. That is the yes. That is the yes.
Hmm.
So start to notice the yes and the no. It's okay to start to having the yes and a delicious yes. You know, it's okay to have that, but start to notice that there are no's in the world, and the no doesn't, it's not a bad thing. It's just the opposite of a yes. You know, it's like, it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a no.
Yeah.
But if you were never told as a child to be able to say no without being punished or shamed, then we need to practice that. You need to be comfortable in your own skin saying no. And if somebody is shaming you or punishing you, you got you.
Right.
I got your back. If that happens again, I got your back. I'm going to remove you from the situation and I'm going to take hand of this.
Hmm. Okay. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it might be surprising coming to a non-dual meeting and
Yeah.
being told you need to work on the self.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
you. It was really lovely
Please let me
meeting you.
know how you get on. Are you in Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Please,
Yeah.
once in a while, let me know. I am reading up. I'm just not saying I'm reading up, but I am reading up on what is going on in there. So just, give me a blurb once in a while in in the community area, so I know how you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good seeing you. Yeah, thank you.
That's lovely. Okay, Harold. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Todd. Hi, Pernilla.
How are you doing?
Nice meeting you.
Likewise.
I'm doing fine, thank you. Thanks for doing what you do, by the way.
Thank you.
We enjoy it. You're
Yeah, we
welcome.
do.
I have to. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to hide myself in the image, but that's not possible. So, okay.
Sorry.
Yes. Do I have to tell something? How I came
Not
to
really.
You know, a little.
Tell us
a
about
little
your practice.
background,
Yeah, tell us about your practice.
Oh, my practice.
Or we can talk about cat. You know, you decide.
No. Practice is good. Practice is good. Maybe first a little history. I think how I came to this. Started to do getting into Buddhism in my 20s. Tibetan Buddhism, then Zen Buddhism, and then it was a whole time nothing until I think 2017, 18 or something like that. I came back to the field, I would say. And first I saw something on YouTube who was Gary Weber. Maybe you know him.
Yeah.
And via Gary Weber, I came to Rupert Spira and then Angelo, and then, of course, you. And now I'm here.
That's wonderful.
I did some online retreats this year with Angelo.
Nice.
Beginning of the year in the last July. The first one didn't go so well. Couldn't after 2 days I couldn't go on. I was too caught up in my head. And the last one in July it went okay. And then I came to the realization that all this time I'm going at this myself alone. And my family, my friends, they don't share what I did this space of mine. So I then thought, wait, let's join a community, and so I'm here. So
amazing.
That's amazing.
We love that.
Have you been to Vince's meetings?
No, I yesterday I saw the 3 continents meeting from the first Fetter. And I saw Vince. Yeah, right.
Because Vince, he has meetings like 3, 4, 5, 10 times a week. I mean, he's amazing. He has so many meetings every single week. If you go to,
I was just gonna say, because I think it's oneness.org, but if somebody there who might have Vince's website could post it in the chat, that would be really
that would be
appreciated.
great, because then you just join one of his meetings, and then you have communities there, because he's doing it in basically every single time zone. So no matter where you are on the planet, there will always be a Vince meeting you can go to, and he's so good at just creating space to people's experiences, and you will experience that there are people all over the world doing what you're doing. You might, in your very close relationship, not have a community, but you have a worldwide community. And what you are going through, other people are going through or have gone through. So you're not alone at all in this, and coming to that realization and wanting to connect. The opportunities are there for sure. We also have Discord. Are you on Discord?
No, not yet. That's why. I also
perfect. When you get into Discord, the first thing that happens to most people is that they get completely overwhelmed. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thanks.
They got completely overwhelmed because we have threads for every single fetter and every single experience within those fetters. So there are so many threads and so many communications back and forth. So it's something, make a good cup of tea and then just sit and dive in and enjoy it. And if you have any questions, just write it in there. And then I can also recommend you to join Vince's meetings. Vince is wonderful, and the people that participate there, there are a lot from our community. I'm also sure from Angelo's community. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Groups. Can I just ask? I'm just curious. When you said that during the first retreat that you were,
Me too.
yeah, we're both really curious.
Both of us are very curious.
When you were, all up in your head, what was going on, if you don't mind?
In your experience, you
Yeah,
don't have to
experience.
tell.
No.
You don't have to tell.
No. I know.
But in your experience at the retreat, what was going on?
I was very restless, and after the second day, I couldn't do it anymore. I faltered. I would say.
Due to the restlessness, or was it like
the restlessness? I couldn't get my mind to quiet down. I don't know why. I think I was doing. It was going all over the place. Yeah.
I'm so curious. There's so many things. So I mean, do you have a practice where, like, normally when you're meditating, it is quiet and it's
not always, but sometimes, it's quiet. Yeah, I do some. How you say it's natural meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And also sometimes breathing exercises. So following the breath.
I'm curious why the expectation was there that during the meditation retreat that you were supposed to be able to perform or, have that experience at will in a way that didn't.
I don't know. I don't know if I had any expectations of what it should have been, but while I was.
Yeah, can I just interject? Because you did have expectations to how it should be. Otherwise, you wouldn't say that you were restless.
Yeah.
You can only be restless if there's an expectation of not being restless.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry.
So because I think actually I think you are onto something here in it, and that's why we keep digging in. It's not just because we want to be annoying. It's because there's something here that if you have a practice where you normally experience quiet and you experience calm, then it can be almost startling and disturbing to experience the opposite. But the opposite is not a disturbance. Mm-hmm. It's just different. Mm-hmm. Having a mind that is like that during a meditation retreat is just as beneficial and deepening and insightful, can be as insightful, invoking, or whatever you call that, as sitting in quiet. You're just having an expectation about meditation being quiet. Meditation can be anything. Mm-hmm. It can also be a monkey mind, where you let the monkey mind be the monkey mind while you sit and breathe deeply. You don't need to believe your thoughts or wanting your thoughts to be any different. You can just allow your thoughts to be thoughts. Just like your nose always smells things and your ears always hears things, your mind is always thinking things. So having a monkey mind while you meditate or while you're at a meditation retreat is just what is.
Yeah.
Okay, but what should you do if I'm sitting and my mind is going crazy?
Mm-hmm. Can you be specific about what going crazy means for you? Because that's a very different thing for different people.
Thoughts popping up, grabbing the thoughts, staying with the thoughts, not getting how do you say? Not getting rid of the thoughts, but I can't get the word.
It's difficult in second language. I'm completely with you on that one. That happens daily to me.
And not letting go of the thoughts then. So it's very it's a wild river like that.
Yeah.
So it's basically like the way that I look at meditation, especially in that kind of situation, is you are training new neural pathways, right? You are actually creating new ways of being in different circumstances. And you can even think of it like going to the gym, right? So if you were going, some days, you're just stronger than others. Some days you go to the gym and you can physically lift more weights than others. It doesn't seem to be by any reasonable, you can't guess that it's going to happen. Some days you just go in and for whatever reason. But on the days when you go in and you are for some reason stronger than others, you lift, the same barbell and it just feels lighter. It's just an easier day. Other days you're weaker, you go in and something you normally could lift one day, you can't even pick up. That is like a day when for some reason those things are heavier. So what you're doing, the whole practice of meditation isn't about just having a quiet mind all the time. It's actually training the neural pathways so that when a thought arises, you don't get attached to it, and you're training a new pathway of switching over to this calm, detached, equanimous way of noticing. So in those days, you're just doing really heavy weight training where you're really attached to a thought, you're really locked into it. And then in the moment where you're like, oh, nope, come back to the breath or just come back to the open sitting, that is doing the heavy work. That in that moment is when the magic is happening of you have just switched pathways again. And if you can be positive when that happens and give a little like dopamine hit of, oh, okay,
I got it.
I got that one. That sends a reinforcement into the system so that you are more likely to catch it the next time. And even if you're 10 minutes down the line in one thought to another, it's okay. It's the recognition of being lost in thought and coming back to whatever the open meditation or the object is, that's where the work is happening. It doesn't matter anything that happens in the meantime. That's fine.
It's the expectation. Right.
It's an expectation.
It's an expectation. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And probably a frustration with yourself and everything around it that, there's usually some like hidden idea of failure or something in there too, that I'm not doing what I normally should. So
I should be somewhere else. With all the years of meditation I've done, I should be somewhere else. So it's just that is the I'm shutting down now.
There we go.
There we go. Mid-sentence. It's yours.
Power down.
Take it away, babe.
What was the word you were going for?
I don't know.
It's so funny. So being aware with all of this, like there's no such thing as a bad meditation session or something where you can't get something out of it. So even if what you get out of it is a recognition that there's selfing going on in this moment because there was an expectation and then there was a feeling of not living up to that expectation. And now I feel particularly, some emotional cocktail that shows up because of it, which causes that feeling of restlessness, which makes me stand up and walk away and quit the retreat. All of that inadequacy.
It was inadequacy.
Well done, man.
You pick it up with the inadequacy.
There we go. So all of those things are a trail that you can work your way back through and investigate any part of it, but it's all coming back to something that's really, really relevant for you to work with.
Yeah, I think that it's for me now a little bit of an eye-opener that I have expectations about what meditation is.
Yeah.
It's inevitable because we're taught, like you said, you started in your 20s with Tibetan Buddhism and then Zen. There are expectations baked into all of that as to what it's supposed to be like to have a successful day of practice versus unsuccessful. And yeah, I mean, Tibetan Buddhism, especially because there's a lot of, you're really doing it for the purpose of, so that's really, I think Zen is a lot less in that regard, but there's still a lot of, just, well, it depends. I mean, I think what is really there versus how we hear it is different. So I think what is really there is that if you're doing open, natural meditation, that like Pernilla was getting to, if you suddenly had a lot of planes flying overhead, the airplanes flying over are just part of the meditation. It's what's here. All of a sudden, a train goes by and you hear the train whistle, and there's an explosion in the distance, and everything is going on, and it's just part of the meditation. But for some reason, we have this idea that thoughts are not part of all of that. That doesn't count. Those are special. They're not supposed to be there. Everything else can be there, but not thoughts. And I think the point is to recognize that they are just as fleeting, just as arising out of the nothing as the sound of the distant airplane. And just being okay with, oh, I don't get upset. Like I have a friend who really gets upset at the sound of airplanes flying over. And so that was something for him to work with, that, that's an issue. But if you can be completely equanimous with the fact that an airplane is flying past, but you're still getting hung up on the sound of your own voice echoing in your head, well, that's something to become aware of. And see if you can have the same equanimity with that and the same detachment, because you don't feel like you are identified with the airplane, but you probably feel like you're identified with that sound of a voice in the head. So recognize why that is. Why, when you're sitting there open and suddenly the sound of this familiar voice is going on, that you suddenly feel identified with that and believe the words that it's saying and make sense of it. Take a second to then turn that around and go, where is that pointing to? Why does that feel like
intrusive?
Me? Well, like me. Why do I feel identified with it? And yeah, why is it a problem that is there? But each one of those is a great opportunity for just a brief moment of inquiry or introspection. And then that frees up for the next moment. And then the next thing will attach you, and you'll have a great opportunity to detach from that, and on and on and on it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, and really be aware of what you said, that every time you catch yourself in it, you're building new pathways in your brain. You're actually working on this on a physiological, anatomical level.
Yeah.
So it's completely fine. It's completely fine.
Easier and easier and easier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And some days it still won't be, and it's fine. And then you're working up the equanimity to be okay when the mind isn't doing what you think it should be doing, and it's not living up to your expectations of how it should be.
Yeah, and also see the silly nature of it. I only want to hear birds. I only want to hear birds. You cannot pick and choose like that. And it's the same with the mind. You cannot pick and choose that the mind today there will be silence. It's who's deciding that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Really good.
Really good meeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you came.
Yeah.
This time, last time
I know.
I procrastinated.
I know, but I'm glad you were able to come this time, especially since it's going to be a while before the next one.
Yeah. So be on Discord and join Vince's meetings.
Yeah.
Will do.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, Susan.
Susan.
Hello there.
Hello. Hi.
You.
I'm happy to see you all.
Likewise.
I just want to remind everyone they can donate if they like. I put the PayPal link.
Thank you, Susan.
I always tell a story. I thought
so
for
wonderful.
so long, I call them P and T in my head. We're just fabulous wealthy because they never mentioned donations. So I'm trying to mention for them.
Thank you.
I was late on this call. I had an appointment, but did we get to hear about your update on your journey?
No, we haven't really
There's no update.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's very, very mundane. I mean, we are still observing or not observing, investigating other surrounding areas too, because like we just said to Charmaine, we're not settled on anything until we have like bought a
and
house
also both Todd and I, we're very much researchers. We research and research and research, and we are so well prepared for when we land there.
Yeah.
Because we have researched everything and we know exactly. So it's basically, yeah.
So we've been investigating the area a bit south of Valencia too, around Alicante.
But have sorted out with when there's going to be a state sale after we have left, and have honed down on a date where we want to find a flight, and soon starting to look for rental apartments in Valencia, and maybe Valencia, we don't know yet.
Yeah, and we're still going through the house, and it's really like it's shocking that it's been like a month since the last time, because we have been working every day on stuff, and it doesn't. I know we have a lot to show for it in terms of progress, but it doesn't feel like we have a lot to show for it, or that we're leaving in less than 2 months probably. So it's we should be right around that 2-month stage. So
you're thinking early October you're gonna leave?
It's probably like between 10th and 18th, something like that. Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So much uncertainty, and so much certainty too. You're moving. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's very much the uncertainty about everything that actually makes it easier, because there's a lot of wiggle room for everything. We've researched the things that we can research, which gives me, I know it also gives you, like that feeling of safety, in knowing we're not the type just like.
We've seen YouTube videos and stuff of people who are just like, so I've never been to Spain, but I just bought a house there and I'm moving there, and like, don't speak the language, but I'm sure it's going to work out, and just like completely blowing up their entire life to just go and start this new adventure. We don't really do that, so I think that goes for us a little bit, but it's going to be, I mean, we're leaving in 2 months. We still don't have an apartment that we're moving to. We don't know exactly where, in which city we think Valencia, but that can change. We don't know which part yet.
But it's also because there's so many things that are difficult to plan. I mean, then the pandemic happened. Right. I mean, I think we all have been humbled a lot by the pandemic. I think all of us had plans for February, March, and April 2020, and everything just came to a halt. So it's that holding things very, very lightly.
Yeah. And watching the news frequently over there just to see, because I mean, now they've travel between Italy and Spain is temporarily not shut down, but you have to go through past checks. The Schengen thing isn't going on, but I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 months? But
it's funny. I think we talked a lot about that I think because there's not really any attachment to anything on this end, it's very light. There's surprisingly little drama, surprisingly little excitement. It's just like very matter of factly of how it is now. So it's also that there's not really any updates.
No,
but I think it's because we're pushing the reboot button.
It's a little surreal, because it's like it both feels like it's like Schrodinger's move. It like feels like we're moving and also not moving at the same time. So we'll see. We'll know when we open the box and find out whether we're in Spain or not. But other than that, until then we're not.
Well, I love your piece with so much uncertainty. I love that. Yes. And I love your willingness to be in this unknown flow, which is where we all are all the time, right? It's just you're really acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And I find for me, and you guys may be different, but I find for me, like research can help, but it's not till I get somewhere that I can really feel it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're finding out like, which towns have farmers markets, what the basic amenities and
it's because we have like values in life, things that we really enjoy, and planning a life where your values are part of your life is just logical. And I think for a lot of us, we at some point in our life wake up and see that we actually have created a life around us where we have made dues. I'm not specifically talking about us right now. It's just like to everybody out in the ether, that we wake up and kind of find out that we have, cut a heel and chipped a toe, so many different aspects of our lives that we don't really live a life where our values, our core values, are a part of it. And I think one of the things that we talk a lot about, it is what is our values. We enjoy having a place where we can go for walks. We enjoy walking. We think so well, and we ping pong a lot when we walk. So having a place where we can walk is really lovely. We live in the States. There's not many places you can walk. You need to drive to walk. So that it's like, it's very much about finding the values. We enjoy farmers markets and
art galleries,
and
live music.
And,
just nature, and So we'll see. Sorry, you have
I'm already looking forward to your next newsletter, so we can get the. What'd you get?
Thank you.
Another eyelash.
Another eyelash. I'm shedding eyelashes.
She is. They're like trickling down while she speaks. Thanks. Yeah, actually, no pressure on the newsletter. Kind of forgot about that.
Oh yeah, no need. And also, there's no update, as you're saying, when you have an update. You can write to us.
That's a newsletter of August. No update.
So much easier.
It could be September too, and maybe October.
Yeah, well, it's going to be.
Well,
how are you?
I'm very well. I really just wanted an update on you guys, but I would say for me, I'm so excited about your journey, and I'll miss you these months. And I think I'm good. My realization recently is I just want to make everything I do be okay, because I realize I'm so like, something goes 90% well, and I just like, oh, I should have done this different. And I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of making myself wrong. I'm sick of, and then I think of like the Buddhist teaching, like, well, we don't really have control anyway. And I'm like, why do I'm always nitpicking myself? And I'm just tired.
You actually missed the first talk. Before we started the meeting, we just had a little talk about that, about noticing. And it was actually, we started to talk because I wanted to talk about that when we live our lives, and there's nothing that is set in stone regarding, a self or a path or any of that. You can basically be anyone you want to be. Whatever is arising in you is just arising. You don't need to hold on to you being shameful or guilty or feeling fearful or anything like that. So when everything is just out in the open, why do we keep focusing on the things that makes us feel so horrendous, so horrible? It's like, if you can imagine, anything, what would it be? And then we start to notice all the things we don't want. It's a bit like that we focus on the wrong end of it. And I think that no matter how much we do that, because that is in the dual, it's in the this or that all the time, 90% correct, 10% wrong. That is in the dual. I think the only thing that helps with that, and it's important to dive into it and work with it, and we do that in the second Fetter and all of that. But sometimes in that moment, it's important to have a non-dual tool. And what we recommended was, the unconditional acceptance. In that moment when you catch yourself, I did 90% correct and 10% wrong, and that's okay. That's okay.
I just had this thing where I was with someone who makes me nervous and my back was tightening and I was noticing, I was like, okay, my back's tightening. Okay, I feel it here, I feel it here, I feel it here. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, oh, yeah, it was so frustrating. My back was tightening. And she was like, well, of course. She was like, what's wrong with that? And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I think there's so many things wrong with that. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not enlightened enough. I'm not supporting myself. And I was trying to do all the work, like, okay, I'm right here. I'm with you,
Yep.
And she was like, yeah. And I thought, jeez, like I can make something that simple. I can make myself that wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are stuck in the dual where there's like 90%, 10%, and you're, oh, my back is all of that, and I shouldn't be like that, and I should be much more open and all that, then your mind is stuck in the dual. So going to the non-dual of unconditional acceptance can be difficult. A stepping stone on the way could be kindness, because you can always be kind. You can always be kind. And when you have kindness to, oh, I feel how tense I am in my back. Okay, I'm putting kindness on my back now. That is a stepping stone to having unconditional acceptance, to having a tense back, to wanting to be different than what you are. At least now you're looking at it with kind eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd really like to do that. There was something about that simple moment that just thought, Jesus, forget
So
it.
right now, when you really, really want something else than what you project onto you doing, you say that you don't do that, you really, really want to do that. How can you be kind to yourself in that moment? Can you make a breather and say, like, it's okay. Sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't, and it's okay.
Yeah. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
And now you again project onto, it's something that I want to do. What about right now? Right now, it's okay that you create a scenario where in the future you're sure that you won't do it. That is okay too.
But also to be okay that it just even frustrates me to acknowledge it, to acknowledge how cruel I am to myself. Like that's what I'm feeling right now. It's this frustration, like, oh my God, I've spent my life doing this to myself.
Yeah. And when you catch yourself in realizing how cruel you are to yourself, then be kind for that realization. Otherwise, why should another realization come? So be kind to that realization.
When you say be kind to that realization, just be like, yeah, okay, all right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that I'm cruel. Thank you for letting me know.
If it helps, because I find, sometimes it's good to use the kind of self language, but sometimes it also creates more complications and sort of like a dog chasing its own tail in a way. And so if you just think of it like this whole system that we call Susan, this whole system has learned certain mechanisms for defense and for how to navigate and negotiate with the world. Some of those things are that it has learned to say very overly critical things of its own behavior. And like I talked to Ilvo before, I don't know if you were here at that point, when I said that, as far as like neuroscience understands right now, the brain is constantly using predictive processing. It's always predicting what it thinks is out there based on past information that it accesses. And so basically you could think of it that this whole biological organism is using past information, and it's learning this kind of behavior of constantly putting itself down or being harsh on itself with the idea that it's going to somehow make you safer in the world. You're going to behave better or do the right thing or whatever. And it's just like a really overbearing parent who, they think they're helping their kid by forcing them to take piano lessons when they're 3, but whack their hand with a ruler if they make a wrong note. ultimately they think they're doing the right thing, but they're doing it in such a heavy-handed way that it just causes more trauma, and the kid hates the piano and hates them in response. So you have a system that has just learned an adaptive tool, which unfortunately has been kind of counterproductive in its um, uh, overzealous use of negative reinforcement, right? And so instead of taking it that I am being mean to myself all the time, or I have been so horrible to myself, just look at it from that, okay, this is how this whole system has learned. It's not a personal failing on your part that you have been mean to you. It's just the way that the system has learned to navigate the world. And now you're realizing, oh, it doesn't have to be like that. Actually, kindness also works. That you can now be kind and recognize, oh, so when whatever I'm picking up on, whatever I'm doing in life, I'm seeing it all through this veil of my needing to be perfect and my failing. If I can, it's like if the system can scrutinize any action that you do and find any fault in it, then you have failed in your quest for perfection. And now, there's something to chastise yourself about. And it's just recognizing that that is the pattern that is working, and it doesn't need to be that way. You don't have to vilify it. You don't have to wish it were otherwise. You just take a moment to notice, oh, there's that processing again. There's that overly overzealous perfectionist program that's running. Okay, I can breathe. Thank you very much. We're not doing that today.
What was that thing? Thank you very much.
I said, thank you very much. We're not doing that today. You recognize that it's just it's just too rigid of a criteria for judging whatever you're doing, and it's doing it again for the process of. In the past, I'm sure it was to try to keep you safe and successful and all of that, but it's no longer necessary. It's not adaptive for the current Susan situation. So you can see now in any of these situations, like Pernilla said, 90% positive, 10% maybe imperfect, but can you accept and be kind with that 10% human imperfection? It's inevitable. Nobody can be perfect all the time or do things that you are always going to look back on and say, oh yeah, I would absolutely have done that the same way twice. No, we make mistakes. It's what we do. We learn by those mistakes. But if you have this program that's this overbearing parent that won't allow any mistakes to happen, then you can't learn. You can't grow. So you have to be willing to accept your own mistakes. And also, I should say, the mistakes of others, which is just a reflection of your inability to accept your own mistakes. So that's always another good reflecting pad. If you find that you're criticizing and being overly judgmental of others, probably a good reminder that you're doing the same thing to you. Keep coming back to that. Okay, this is not what we're doing now. We're going to be, kind. We're going to look at all the positives of whatever it was that I just did, and notice that you're basically, the idea is that you're retraining the brain. You're retraining the whole way that you perceive the world, because right now you will perceive it through a filter of non-perfectionism, of always being a problem, because you kind of have a system that's designed to look for it. You have like a very strong error detecting mechanism. And so, of course, you're going to find errors anywhere that they can, but it doesn't mean that they're true or that you could have done otherwise or should have done otherwise. You're just picking up on patterns. So now you're every time you notice it, like what we talked to Harold about a minute ago, that every time you notice, that was the old mechanism at work again. You saw this perfectionist error detecting mechanism at work. you notice it, and then you consciously recognize that we're not playing that game now. We're going to notice that this is not a problem, that I did this or thought this or felt this, that this is normal. And then you can relax, and hopefully that's sending a message that the next time you'll be slightly less likely to see things with that filter, and you're opening up now to seeing things through the filter of kindness and acceptance and equanimity, as opposed to constantly being critical and looking for every error that you or anybody else makes.
And it's also the never-ending game.
Yeah,
it is a +1 game that you're playing. You can always find fault.
Absolutely.
There's always something that can be done better.
Yeah.
So it is an endless +1 game. It's the most cruel game we can play.
Humans. There's nobody has ever been perfect in their dealings with anything. It's just
if
not.
If you are, people
possible.
are going to criticize that.
Absolutely.
So it's like it's never ending. It will never ever end.
So just notice, say, oh, that's what's happening. Here's the program. Let's try to shift it a little. It's okay. Fine, I have the program, and let's see if we can shift it a little bit.
Yeah. I just want to say that I wouldn't recommend you to do that yet.
Okay.
No, don't focus on you changing it yet, because that is your old pattern. I want you to stay in the imperfection, absolutely love it, be kind to Susan in her imperfection, and period. That's it.
Okay.
Don't try to change anything, because that is what you have tried to do your entire life. I want you to love and accept you as you are.
Okay.
So nothing, you don't need to change at all. You are exactly like you're supposed to be. And when you do something, what you deem 90% correct and 10% not correct, that is just a here and now judgment. Other people might go and like, wait, that is way beyond what you should have. But you will constantly play that game, and you will constantly find ways to wanting to change you. You don't have to. You're gorgeous. You're fine.
Thank you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my best.
But
even that.
Like I'm hopeless.
Don't do your best.
I'll do. I had this yoga teacher years ago. It was restorative yoga, and she'd say, "Give me your best C+. Like do this pose," and it was so. I had never heard that concept. And she'd be like, "Okay, let's do this one as a D-," and I was like, "Oh my God!" But Tom, what were you going to say?
Oh. We talked about that before with aiming for inadequacy.
Yeah.
Aiming for mediocre.
Aim for mediocre.
Yeah. Go for the mediocre.
Yeah. The other thing I was just going to say, piggybacking on that once you have kind of stayed with the thing, recognizing that it's only a judgment, that the error can only be a judgment. It's only in your perspective that it was a problem or an error to begin with.
Yeah, the 10% only exists that.
Yeah, exactly. The 10% is just a judgment that you're making about it. So recognizing the unreality of that it is a purely conceptual for you judgment, that it's wrong in some way. It's not objectively wrong for the totality of humans and animals and other beings in the cosmos. It's only wrong for you right now, which means it's a judgment, which means it's not true. And you can question that, and you can either do it deeply, or you can just simply in the moment that you notice that judgment happening, it's like turning towards it in a way where you just see there's literally nothing there. That what you thought was a judgment about something real, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done it that way, or whatever it is, that you can see that it was just an action completely devoid of any objective meaning or value or judgment that has any sort of objective reality to it. that see if you can just bring it down to the action itself without any judgments about it, and let that kind of dissolves on contact the feeling of wrongness about whatever the error was supposed to have been. Does that make sense? It's a hard thing because it's like an internal, you just kind of observe it, and in that observation you're no longer putting on it the judgments and the thoughts that once made it into something that seemed real and worth beating yourself up over. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, wait, not quite. So say if I just started screaming right now, I go, "Ah,"
Yeah.
and then I go, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I shouldn't have screamed. Then what do I do? Then I just say, oh, I screamed. Maybe that was okay.
Yeah, go back to feel what it was like to scream. Like picture the moment and recognize that scream just as a vocal utterance. It was just sound coming out of the mouth. Any idea of whether it's improper or proper based on context and that you could have done otherwise and should have done otherwise, and what do the other people think about me, and I bet they're judging me, and well, I'm going to judge myself even harsher than they are just to get back at them. Any of that other stuff that might be happening in your mind is just overlays on the fact that there was an ah sound that came out of the mouth. That was it. It's just sound. Everything else is put on it by the mind.
Okay.
And as you just come back to what is actually there, the other part, at least briefly, can hopefully just dissolve. Because again, it's just thought. It's just a posture towards an action. It's not something real that isn't contained in the action itself. It's your interpretation of the action. And so then when you see that interpretation is just a biased judgment, it literally it's as ephemeral as any other thought. It can't last longer than any other thought. It has no more substance or truth to it than any other thought. It's just that it gets reinforced, especially because if you say, oh, I shouldn't have done that, you feel a clench in the body, you feel something that's like, very, very familiar and very old, and I've done something wrong, and the posture changes, and all of that reflects in a way that makes it seem as though it's really true that you really did something wrong, and now I feel terrible, and I don't know what to do to undo it, and you can just cycle on for days about that. But when you come back and you recognize that every bit of that is a thought, and then you had some contractions in the body and some emotional feedback that made it seem substantial, it's not. It's just a sound. Do you see what I'm getting at?
I do. And I'm going to do a very mediocre job practicing.
Yay!
Love that.
It's going to be so mediocre, maybe even bad. And I'll report back.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And no, I'm kidding. Thank you so much. I so treasure you.
Well, same, Susan. Thank you so much all the time. It's just always wonderful seeing you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support and everything. It's just wonderful.
And I'm excited about your new journey.
Thank you.
We're excited to keep you up on it. I love that everybody else is so excited about it. We're
not.
Well, it's such an to me it's so layered, and there's so many intense layers in it. And then you guys are like, oh yeah, I'm like, wow. I mean,
we're also exhausted. It's like there's the like the actual
the physical, yeah, and
there's a lot.
About it.
There's a lot of like, it's been really fascinating going through this stuff, because something that we've talked about is that I have this strange experience that, like, I had a couple days where, well, there was one morning in particular, I was just completely wiped out. And I'm not physically, it's not like we're doing anything strenuous. Emotionally, it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything emotionally strenuous, but subconsciously, there is a lot going on with going through. I found a metal lockbox with all of the income tax and property tax, like income tax, filings with all of the receipts, all the medical bills and all that stuff from the late 1950s and early 1960s of my grandparents.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's like, yeah. So, I mean, there is just stuff that is like, and it feels weird because it's like, well, it survived that long. It feels weird to just get rid of it. But it's like, it has, I did look it up because I'm like, it's just weird. But there are people that actually collect ephemera like that because it's just,
history.
It's like history. You have like old, the letterheads from banks that no longer exist and, stuff like that. And so people do actually collect it. But it's like, it just feels really strange.
And so did
that
we.
it's like, yeah, clearly so did we.
Clearly so did we. Clearly we were collecting a lot of different
came
things.
from my parents' attic to our basement. It's really had a long journey. But it's like, but going through that, all of those little choices and all of the little things that are like reflections of, family history and all that stuff. It's weird because I don't feel consciously like, I'm having big emotional upheavals or that even the stuff means anything. But clearly there is a lot of processing happening under the surface that is not.
And it's also looking at it from the outside because it's not the decisions that one would think that would be difficult to make. I mean, you look at the saxophone and go, no, I'm not bringing that. Looking at the violin, oh, I'm not bringing that. Looking at the oud, doesn't really give me joy. 18 guitars, funnily enough, yeah, all of them go. So and 70 keyboards are not staying.
Yeah.
So that instruments and stuff like that, he's very like, there's not an issue, and it's just playing it. No, don't feel it. No. It stays in the estate sale. But it's all the things of going through filing cabinets. I mean, Todd's family is very, very diligent with filing. Yeah. All the way back to the grandparents, and we have all of it. So going through all of it, and it's that is taking its toll. And it's not, like you say, it's not because there's like emotional things, but subconsciously, a lot of energy is being released because there's so much energy in everything.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff I didn't even realize was sharing the house. And, it's just really been wild. It's been really wild. And also, like, I kind of wish everybody had the opportunity to go back through old videos and records of stuff because, like, I'm seeing, I can't remember if we talked about this last time or not, but like, watching videos of like my grandmother's 80th and 90th birthday parties, and like, I don't remember their voices sounding like that. I don't remember, people who are gone, the way that I was, I don't remember that. I was just going through an old computer yesterday because I'm trying to wipe stuff off. And I found old emails from college that I had with people, and it does not sound like, I don't recognize having written like that with that kind of tone and the voice, and everything is completely different. Stuff about like, family drama and stuff with, my parents and things like that, finding like, documents about stuff that I either wasn't aware of or don't ever remember hearing, and everything shifts to where the images that we have of our past and the family and people in it are not at all the way that we thought they were. And it's like having that kind of jarring, because it happens so gradually over time that most of us don't even realize that the images and memories that we have of people and ourselves in the past are completely wrong. That just does not bear any resemblance to how people and us really were back then. So having that like jarring contrast of being able to have it right in your face that is what you used to sound like, and your parents sounded like and looked like and all of that, and it's not at all what you remember, it really reinforces everything that we talk about with the complete fallibility of the memory and the whole self and meaning creating machine just being that it's just this very, very fallible recreation process of memory that's not really a memory. It's just a constant regeneration of something. So I think there's been a lot of updating that all the images that I have, even though I take them lightly, are just so wrong. and so there's just been a lot. And that, because this is the childhood home, so I've been in here, and my parents were here before then. I mean, literally, I've found like the receipt for the hutch that is there, that has always been there as long as I've been there, as long as I've lived here. And it was bought, well, what did I find? Like, I don't know, 10 years something before I was born. And I found the receipt for that. And it's like always in that place. Having a place that reinforces those memories, and then when you find how wrong they were, it really it's much easier to release any connection and any feeling of attachment to the place also, because it's just showing that every part of my, story and narrative about it is basically untrue. It's basically wrong. So it's just been a fascinating experience.
It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable journey.
Yeah, it's been wild. So
yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
I could see why you'd be exhausted.
Because
also, even just clearing even just clearing my own stuff, it always takes. I mean, I think that's why people have these homes filled with stuff, is it takes so much to go through it emotionally, and I mean, emotionally probably more than anything.
Yeah,
and it, like Todd here said, that like Todd's entire family lived on this street, and every time somebody died, it came to here and was put in the basement, because we deal with that later, and later is now.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with like decades and decades and decades of stuff.
Yeah.
And even though there's not any like drama or big talking about it or anything like that, it's clearly, I mean, you had those 2 days where you were just he could
completely
barely drag himself
barely
so
functional.
exhausted.
Yeah. And
so it's just allowing what is coming up. And right now there's not a clear conscious mind about what is happening, but a lot of things is clearly happening. So he's kind to his body, and take it easy, and accommodate.
The irony that, Pernilla, did you show up with like 2 suitcases and Todd has a family?
It's something like that.
Decades of stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
How funny that must be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of entertaining to think about the imbalance of stuff.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
But again, there's your attachment to things are not really there. That's the funny thing, that we bring a lot of stuff because it has like sentimental value, or like 18 guitars, and
but they have very functional value.
They have a very functional. Don't look like that, Susan. It's
everybody
very
needs
functional.
Everybody needs 18 guitars.
Every guitar is completely different.
It's different, Susan.
Different.
Yeah.
Given. I'm gonna go buy 18 this afternoon.
But I'm usually, when I'm talking to people that don't know about music, I'm one of them. Then I'm usually comparing it, with a book, because it's not like just because you have one book, you have all the books. Like one book is enough. It's the same with a guitar. For a musician, it's the same with that. And the 17 keyboards that we're now leaving behind, it's also because it's the same thing. One keyboard is not the same as another keyboard. No,
that's true.
There's such a difference. And then there's a fret, and then it's a 12 stringer, and then it's like there so many combinations with them.
I will have to start my guitar collection even though I don't play. It just sounds
you don't have to. We got you covered. You don't have to. I have made jokes about that, that every single instrument known to man we have in this house. Now we're going to leave most of them. A lot of them are leaving. We're leaving.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how it feels once you move through the process. Because I find stuff, my house is very Zen, and I like to keep things very simple. But I just find like when I clear, like if I clear a closet, I do it manically. I just start throwing, I mean, I just, and then I just feel so light afterward. And it just feels like I'm letting go of, and maybe I'm just more attached to it, but it just feels so, like some people are so happy when they collect something. I'm so happy when I let something go. But I just find myself, the simpler things get, like just the more graceful for me and the lighter I feel. So I'll be curious, like once
but I actually I think it's because the majority of things in this house is not Todd's. It has by default now become Todd's because he survived all the elders.
No.
So therefore it has become Todd's, but it's never been chosen to be Todd's.
No.
And I think that is what this whole process is also, you know, unearthing that there's so many things that is just part of your life, even though it was never chosen to be.
It's mostly like instruments and Buddha statues, or the things that have
are yours. But I'll be so curious when you're on the other side. I'll be so curious to hear because I'm super into feng shui, and I think stuff has a lot of power. And so I think even just letting go of this historic family stuff, I mean, I think that's going to shift the energy of you and your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Absolutely.
And the big thing is that where I think, you know, I struggle, it's not so much with the attachment to the things, it's that I have a real problem with just throwing stuff in a landfill. And so like I have a friend and he'd be like, you know, I'd just be like throwing everything out, and it feels so wrong to do that. So we're having the estate sale, and they're basically like, you know, don't throw anything out because you never know what people are going to want, which is great. But then we have a guy down the street who actually, as a living, he goes in and he clears out after like estate sales and stuff. And as he said, he's a real save the earth kind of guy. So he basically either put stuff in his own sales to try to sell it off, or he'll donate it to places or recycle the stuff that really needs, you know, just really recycling, or
what is called revamp something else, or
so really he tries to throw away nothing if possible. And so I'm happy to, you know, be having him come and clear everything out, because that's the biggest thing. It's like I see everything as being, you know, potentially valuable for somebody if they want the right thing. And it's, I'm happy to just give it away if they're, you know, somebody could use it. I really don't like being wasteful and throwing stuff just away. So that's been the biggest issue with, like, even, you know, we've put stuff online to sell some things, and then we're going to have the estate sale, but it's like, it would just be, you know, it's a lot of, when you have this much stuff in the house, putting each item individually in buy nothing groups or something is a lot. And we just don't have enough time to do it all. So I like the fact that we found like a one person team to just kind of do that.
He is your friend.
He really is.
Friend.
Yeah.
And he'll, especially because he has experience, he'll know what he can revamp or resell or give away and what he can't, you know.
Yeah. Oh
exactly. My gosh. I can't wait for the next check-in. I'll be
Thank you so
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll have to make like little video check-ins.
Yeah.
Just updates.
And no pressure. Just only when it flows. But thanks so much for both of you and for this time. And
thank you for asking. We wouldn't have thought of talking about it. So thank you for asking. For anybody who's curious.
About you. That's because I think about you guys. Okay, do the practice. Okay, what would I do in the practice now? And then I'm like, what's happening with all the clearing? So anyway, have a graceful transitions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So good seeing you.
We love you and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. And now we have patient Keith.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. You're one of the most patient guys we've ever met.
Oh, it's fine. And what's funny is I don't actually have a question right now. I wanted to introduce myself. It's my first time joining your meeting. I just was introduced to you on YouTube about maybe a month and a half ago. So I don't know if you have any interest to this body mind story or some of the bigger issues from the body mind, or the path and the mindfulness path and some things I've done. But in just getting to know me, it's my first time joining your meeting.
Yes.
I don't really have a question for you, so I could just say hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you for being so patient, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, are you doing the curriculum on the channel? Are you doing the lessons?
So I've got to say, I got through the second and third fetter. I was getting to the fourth. I was getting to the fourth on your member page. And I do have to say, I was getting to a point of like a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
Just in the sense that I finally got to this place of no self.
Yeah.
And recognizing no self. And what's funny is I had done self-inquiry, and it was very clear to me that there's no clear barrier between an inside and an outside. There's no seam, but what's funny is it took a while to get from that to like no self. Although I think when you're saying no inside and outside, I can't find a barrier. That is no self. There's no self here. That's why there's no barrier. But what's funny is I think it's only in the past month or so that I came to that kind of realization of no self.
Yeah.
But where the frustration was with the Fetter videos is that I found it so frustrating that, my God, I've been on this path for so many years now. Let's call it the mindfulness path.
Yep.
And that the recognition of no self is only the first of 10 fetters. And it almost seemed overwhelming that like this body mind will be long dead if it took me, let's call it 6 to 8 years to come to this realization of no self, which means, okay, I've I'm now past the first of 10 fetters.
Yeah.
There was something that seemed very overwhelming. And also, when I was doing your videos, sometimes you would say at the start of one of the fetters, if you're not clearly in such and such place, go back, like go back to the second fetter, because whatever, the second might be attached to the fourth or fifth or something. So I was finding something, I I was just finding something frustrating about it. Like, why do I have to, why do I have to keep feeling like there's a problem that I need to solve? Because actually, I feel like I'm in a very good, content, peaceful place right now. And I'm like, why? Sorry, what?
No, I love that.
Love that. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm in a great place, but there is still some of this searching. There is a bit of the seeker. But I actually felt like dealing with some of these fetters was like almost making me feel like, should I recognize a problem that I didn't even think was there? Like, is there a problem, and do I now need to work on the problem? Or, I mean, if I'm at this realization, if I'm feeling contentment, I feel like the past 3 years of my adult life have been by far the best of my life, just in being able to deal with the world and being able to deal with stresses. Because I just turned 50. From the age of 12 to 47, there isn't a single year that I would go back. Like, if I would look back and I would say, was it a little better than average? Like, was I a little happier that I was on this earth, or was it a little worse? Like, would I have wanted anyone to live those years? Would I want to relive those years? And there's not one year between the age of 12 and 47 that I look back in a positive way, that there were more positives that year than negatives. And I mean, just the body mind was, it was just a life of loneliness, of not feeling loved enough. You were going back to childhood or as babies. Into my teen years, into my adult years, I felt wildly independent because I actually felt that there was no one that I could rely upon. I actually felt like I would try to mentor my mother when I was 15 and 16 years old, because she was like unreliable and instinctive, and like she came to me with this guy that she was I don't want to go into this whole history, but she came to me when I was like 15 with this guy she dated for 8 weeks, saying, we're flying to Las Vegas, we're getting married. And I was 15. I sat her down and I said, come to me at this time next year. I said, in those 8 weeks, you were broken up for 4 or 5 of those weeks. So you dated for 2 weeks, you broke up, you dated for 3 weeks. I don't want to go through this whole story. But even at the age of 15, I was the one who would be the adult to try to like mentor my mother to make better life decisions. By the way, she did get married, and she was married for a week, and then she got divorced.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Good call.
But anyway.
Yeah. But that story is exactly. But remember when I spoke with Charmaine, where I said that when we're pre-verbal, when we're babies, from baby to 3 years old, we make a choice to do one of two. Either like Charmaine, where she's like completely leaving her body. She doesn't feel anything, and she's just doing what she thinks other people will like to do. Or what you did. You're absolutely only relying on yourself. There is nobody out there that you trust enough to let your guard down and to actually lean on, because you know what will happen. You know, mom is fucking gonna run off to Vegas and marry some dude, you know? And so I completely get it. And what I would like for you to do when you think about your past like that, really see what a healthy survival mechanism that was in that instant. You did what you had to do, right? And you did it at a point in your life where your brain wasn't fully developed. You were a child. 15, you're still a child. The brain is not developed until we're 19, you know? So you did it at a point in your life when nobody should have to make those decisions, and yet you did. So that is what the armor is about. So when you say that when you look at your life from 12 to 47, it's lonely, I fucking get that. That is lonely. You cannot trust anyone. You cannot rely on anyone. There is nobody out there that you can absolutely just, you know, let the guards down and he or she will have your back. You have no experience with that. And that is what you need to practice. That is what you need to practice. You need to, first of all, practice trust in you, and then trust in others. The issue with not trusting other people is that we leave relationships and situations sooner than is needed, because we fear what will happen if we don't leave.
Well, I'm 50 now. I've actually never had a single loving relationship with a significant other. I've never lived with a significant other. I only once told a significant other I'm gay. The last time I told a significant other that I loved him was about 18 years ago when I was 32. And even that wasn't a long relationship. That was just for like 6 months. But that's actually the last time I told it's the last time I felt love in that way for someone else.
I get that.
And it's the last time I told a significant other that. But yeah, what's funny is now I'm like content. I have a dog. I'm content with him. I always felt like I wanted to live with someone else. I wanted that connection, that support. And now I think it would be nice to have an activity partner. It would be nice to have someone to spend more time with. But that's what I'm getting at with the contentment. Right now it's just me and my dog, and I'm exceptionally content. I have, let's call it the sexual needs. I have that satisfied in other ways. You don't need to be married to satisfy those needs. And so I actually, that's what I'm saying. I don't actually feel like I have a problem right now. I feel like I'm meeting all of my needs. I actually feel like I'm happier in my apartment with a dog, and I'm actually kind of happy I don't have someone else in this space. And then like the other needs I feel like I'm taken care of. So I don't actually feel
that's not
like
a problem.
No.
But that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's not a problem. The issue is that when you have lived a life where you have not trusted anyone and not relied on anyone, you create a wall between you and humanity. and it's also humanity in you, but it's created out of survival. So what I just want you to do is just have compassion with the decisions you have made in your life. There is nothing wrong with never have had a significant other and never had a relationship and never felt love. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really important that you understand the only reason why you might think there's something wrong with it is socialization. Yeah. It's what the society tells you, that you should be different, you should be in a relationship, you should be living with someone, you should all of that. And that is bullshit. We're all different. We are all different. And there's different ways that we are in the world where we are the happiest.
Yeah. I went over 20 years without being in a relationship. It was in college was the last one I had, and then it was over 20 years. I forget how many years now exactly. And then I had taken care of my mom. She had a lot of health problems, so I took care of her for a long time. And after she passed away, I had a few years just to myself, and it was very similar. Like I was alone, but had lots of, online community and people around. I walked around the neighborhood, was friends with the neighbors, and I would occasionally take care of my friend's dog. And there's nothing better than just having a dog in the house. So that was wonderful. But wasn't looking for anything. And then met Pernilla, and next thing you knew, we're married, and here we are. But I was completely at peace, completely content when I was, alone, and very, very happy like that too. So this is not to say that you need to have other people in your life or that there's anything wrong with the way that it is. It's really just recognizing why, making sure that you're fully okay with things being the way that they are, and that it's not just sort of making do, or because there's still something else that's just gone unseen.
And it was the part where you said that you have experienced a lot of loneliness. Mm-hmm. That was the part that made me wanting to talk about it, because if you are completely okay with it, there's no loneliness. There is just a contentment in it. And I know that you say you're now, and we're talking about past tense, and we're talking about Asian history, but now you're in a place in your life where you might, for the first time, be able to look at yourself with kind eyes, with loving eyes, with compassionate eyes, and seeing that the product you are could not do any different from 12 to 47 than you did. That was pure survival. That was the way you could survive. And just know that a lot of the ideas that we have, that we need to be in a relationship and all of that, that's just society. That you don't need to add more to that one. That is very quickly sorted. So it's just that, notice that if you feel loneliness, notice what is that actually about? Because you do sound content. And having a dog, like Todd says, and like you say, I mean, this is wonderful. If you have a dog, then you're happy in life. I mean, what else do you need?
Dogs are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just,
what do you think? Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
What do you think as far as the Fetters? Is there like, do you really think that there's some need or whatever to really go through the second through 10th Fetter, or is it really only if people have certain blocks, then maybe you need to like target a Fetter? But like, do you feel like at some point in like some life you need to get through the 10 Fetters at some point?
No. They're just because they're not real. They're ways of looking at ways that we identify and get hung up on life. And so it's just a sort of like a toolbox of different ways that we can kind of view identification and sort of hang-ups of selfing. But it's not like a real checkpoint of you have to, have this experience, and next you have to have this experience and this one to become fully enlightened or happy or whatever. It's nothing like that at all. It's just we tend to have lots of different ways in our experience that we.
Wait, your sound shut off. I can't hear you.
I can't hear either.
Hello, hello.
Okay,
Can you hear anything?
that's better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the software
Yes.
just good. The software just crashed. That
Oh, okay.
the microphone was running through. Thank you for that. No, what I was saying is that we have a way of creating selfing and a lot of suffering around that selfing in our lives. And for a lot of people coming into kind of the mindfulness work, it's hard to know kind of where to start. And so the Fetters is basically just a way of divvying up our experience into kind of manageable chunks. So you can see, okay, well, there are ways in which all of the emotional baggage and trauma causes identification in this way. We call that Fetter 2. And ways that craving and aversion, when they come up in daily life and all these different experiences happen, that causes suffering. So that's Fetters 4 and 5. And, having that belief in something, whatever the belief is, whether it's some big cosmic higher power or just small beliefs that I inherently take about myself or, the world around me, that's like Fetter 8, this belief in conceit. And so they're things that we experience, but not a sequential line of awakening checkpoints that you have to click off on. So what I would say is the same thing that I said to, I think it was Ilvo, that, really use the litmus test of where are you suffering right now? If you're not suffering, then there's nothing to do and you're golden. Just be open that if something happens and all of a sudden you feel you're getting grumpy about this thing or you're craving this thing, and instead of just writing it off that I'm beyond that or whatever, just note, okay, well, that's something else that could use some investigation, and then you turn towards it. But it's nothing that needs like really gonna go gung-ho and strategically into this thing and get past this next checkpoint to get the gold medal. It's just for you to find ways in which suffering is still alive, and hopefully some more easy ways to focus in on what that is, so you get to the root of it quicker than just kind of floundering around.
And it is basically just the 10 different ways of reminding ourselves that whatever is happening in this moment is completely okay.
Yeah.
Whatever I am in this moment or perceive myself to be in this moment, it's completely okay, because it can't be anything else. If I think I should be different, it's just a mind fuck. It's not real. I just made that up. So it's not something that and I know in the beginning of when I made the curriculum, when I started out, it's like 4 or 5 years ago now. I was very much, because it was me and you and Christian and Kevin Shannon that was doing the Fetters, and it was like consensus that you do 1, 2, 3. But then the more we work with it, it was just like, it's not how it works in real life. In real life, all of them are present at any given point in no sequential order. And so we started to talk about the wheel of identification, and we have made a video about that too, where it's not doing it linearly. It's just seeing what is obstructing in your happiness right now. Oh, it's about that I'm very diligent, that things need to be in a certain order. Okay, look at flow. Look at how can I implement more flow in my life so life becomes more enjoyable with less suffering. And that is basically it. And like Todd said, there are none of the fetters that are real. It's just a way to talk about the 10 different ways we can suffer because we just stir up issues for ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you no, sorry. It's just so if there's nothing, if there's not an urge to look at any of it, then don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no obligation to do anything at all. Enjoy your life and your doggy.
Absolutely.
That sounds great.
That's nirvana right there.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've gotten to this point of no self, but I certainly like when you talk about like everything's an illusion, even when you were talking earlier about 2D and 3D and everything being an illusion. I mean, I'm certainly not at that point yet where I'm recognizing that like everything is just like mind created, or yeah.
But
And
again,
yeah, so
it's not mandatory for a happy existence. You know, it's really just in the way that it creates more self-referential suffering for you. And if it doesn't come online, then, you know, it's just kind of a fun parlor trick to have the visual field go from 3D to 2D, but there's no grand meaning to that. It's not some, you know, higher power. It's just seeing the kind of, you know, matrix-like representation of the world just kind of break down or do weird things. But people do psychedelics to get that. And, you know, people have meditation experiences that do that. And people just, you know, stare up at the clouds and have experiences like that. There's nothing inherently special about it. It's just kind of noticing what is going on in the totality of our experience without putting a lot of more thought, belief, and structure onto it.
And also every time that we get like cocky and think that and arrogant and think that we know things, it's good to have practices that remind you, you know, to be humble.
Yeah.
You know, to that certainty that we can have of, but I know this. That is just something I put up because I feel safer when I do that. It doesn't mean that I actually do know. It just means that I feel unsafe and vulnerable right now, and that is why I'm creating that. And then you can have love and compassion towards that. So it's just it's tools for you to have an enjoyable, wonderful life. You know, with yourself and other people, and you know, being a doggy and just being in life and being happy and content.
Yeah, and I've had a mindfulness practice for sure. This contentness is due to the mindfulness practice of not continually grasping onto thoughts that would keep rehurting me hundreds and hundreds of times. So it's actually, I mean, it's actually been through the mindfulness practice that I've gotten to that contentment. It wasn't from other means. I've heard other people mention Angelo. I did a retreat of his back in January, and that was my first retreat. And it was actually the first time I'd really spent a lot of time kind of doing the self-inquiry and the meditation. Before that, it was much more mental, it was much more theory. And that was a period where I really just had to sit down and frankly just recognize that there's no control, and that things come and go and I have no control over it anyway. So I might as well, it's almost like I might as well be a contentness with like what I can't control.
But in there, I would like to put in a little warning, just so you're aware of it. A guy with your history will find safety in understanding things intellectually. If you understand with your mind, you feel safe. What we're doing and what Angelo is also doing is to feel it. So it's very much in your body, and where it's very much embodied. And there you will realize how little control you actually have. And that can make you very fearful. It can give you existential dread. And if that happens, just remember that what is surfacing, it's old trauma. It's experiences your body had pre-verbally where you're not even aware what it is. Just sit with it and allow it to be there. You're safe. You're here. You got your back. I mean, if somebody can protect you, it's you. You've done it always, So just notice that when that happens, it's just biochemistry being tickled. There's nothing existential about it, but it can feel that way for a guy like you, with your story, because that is your survival.
Yeah, it's my history for sure. I just feel like a much better place right now, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do feel content with that. I actually realize not only can I not control what feels like the external world, I came to this realization I can't even control what happens within this own body.
Yeah.
How the heart beats, how how I'm breathing, how it reacts to different things. It just if I can't even control what's happening in this body that feels like a separate self, how can I control anything else in the environment?
I love that. So brilliant. I love that so much. That it makes me feel much much more calm about your entire process and all of that, because you are aware of exactly that. That is that ambiguity that is there. And you can see for Keith, like, let's say 45 years old, how scary that insight would be. If that had come as a realization during the night, that would have been interpreted as a panic attack, you know? So you being where you are, doing the mindful practice that you have done, it has put you in a really, really good position.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It was really good meeting you. Do you want to join the Discord?
Do you feel that there would be some benefit? I
I mean, the Discord is basically where people that are working with the Fetters, where they talk back and forth. It might be interesting for you. It might also be not interesting at all. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
But you're welcome.
You're more than welcome.
If nothing else,
sure.
It's a good community to be able to practice being open with, and it's a very safe space.
Exactly.
We keep it as a safe space. So
I'd love to join it. I'm on this call with this German woman, Kat, like Kat von Alterhusen or something. I forgot. She wrote a book called Seeing No Self. So I'm on a call with her twice a week with a group of people. So it's kind of like a non-duality group. And it sounds great to join another group just like that.
Yeah.
So you'll email me some. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. That'll be good.
That's good. Really good meeting you.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, guys.
It's a pleasure.
Good seeing you.
Meeting you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
And you can
remove our spotlight. And thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. Hi, Glenda.
Hello.
It was so good seeing you.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
thank
guys.
you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, and see you in 6 months' time, or the new year, or before, or
something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll keep everybody posted.
Yeah,
and
we'll keep you updated on Discord on what is happening, and Patreon and so on, so you'll know.
We'll be making more videos as time allows.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So thank you so much. Good seeing everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good journey.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.